All right, good morning, everybody. Yes. Welcome to another edition of the Carton Show. It is Monday morning. That guy, that right there, it's still David Jacoby. This handsome guy right here is Super Bowl champion. Oh, really, a cologne. And we're all rocking the Dak Prescott interception chain. That's what we do.
Everybody. 3 in a bag.
1, 2, 3 picks by Dak Prescott. And the world seems, in the sports arena at least, like it's right on pace for what we always expect out of the Dallas Cowboys in a big game against San Francisco Monday morning.
Headlines.
42-10. And it could have been worse. Yeah. Oh, look, Dak Prescott throwing the ball to San Fran center fielder. Oh, look, Dak Prescott throwing the ball to Fred Warner. And do I have one more? Can I get one more, please?
Right there. Can I get one more? That's a good one.
Yeah, if there was any thought at all, boys, that the Dallas Cowboys were in the same league right now as San Francisco, we put that to rest in a very disappointing Sunday night game that we were all legitimately waiting for. It's the first time that song was right. We waited all day for Sunday night, and we didn't get a game worth watching.
Card, you're 100% right. If there was 5 quarters in football, we may have seen a mercy rule last night.
No doubt.
It was absolutely, it was bad for TV, and I feel bad for Cowboys fans because this is the type of game you scream in your pillow, you drink a pint of rum and eat a pint of popcorn or whatever. The bottom line is, if you're the Dallas Cowboys right now, I don't know how you play that bad. And if you're the Brock Purdy, you have to feel damn good because you're now the future of the San Francisco 49ers. He didn't make a bad read last night.
No.
He was perfect. He ate up that Dallas defense, man, and I'm looking at this offense for the 49ers, and I honestly think they can't be stopped. I know we use that as very cliche, something you kind of say, but I don't know how you stop the San Francisco 49ers on both sides of the ball.
Look, they just dropped a 42 burger on what was supposed to be the best defense in the NFC.
Man.
And it was right out of the gate. And I think the world is now recognizing what I've been saying for weeks now. Brock Purdy's the MVP of the league. Hasn't thrown a pick this year. As a matter of fact, he's got 9 straight games now without a pick. He's got 11 touchdowns. His quarterback rating is off the charts. And he manages the game really well. And he's part of the reason now why San Francisco wins all these games. We got a lot more, both on the San Francisco side today and the major failure for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. But I'm also going to do Cowboy fans a favor today. Yesterday's game will mean nothing towards your pursuit of a playoff berth. Look at the New York Jets.
Don't get it.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Scoop and score.
Look at Bryce Hall taking it the distance when he probably should have sat down.
By the way.
He did.
For stepping in for, I know DJ Reed went down with a concussion and he's still day-to-day, but for that young man to step in, because prior to him getting hurt in college, he would have been a first-round draft pick. He had a great game yesterday.
Well, the Jets took care of business, 31-21. That's the final touchdown of the game. They made it a 10-point spread. This was the Hackett Bowl as the New York Jets tried to win one for Nathaniel Hackett after those offensive comments this past summer by Sean Payton and the New York Jets defensively after what could have been one of the most brutal regular season losses for the New York Jets. They were certainly trending that way after they foobarred the end of the first half and had an interception late that gave the Denver Broncos life. The Jets did the right thing. They won for Nathaniel.
They did, and I wanted Zach Wilson to carry the momentum that he built in that loss to the Chiefs, and he did not. The first half did not look good, especially for Zach Wilson and the Jets offense.
No.
Second half, completely different thing. Zach Wilson made some great throws. I feel better about him being the starting quarterback.
Zach Wilson made 2 very key throws in that game. A third down conversion to Tyler Conklin, their tight end, and then a great crossfield pass over an outstretched defender's hand to a wide open Garrett Wilson. But the story of that game offensively, of course, was once again Breece Hall, who now has the training wheels off. He's not on a pitch count, and you saw why. That dude's as good as anybody.
Yeah, I know the Jets suffered some significant injuries on the offensive line. Obviously, Elijah Vera Tucker went down with a calf. Hopefully, he's back in the game. But if I'm the New York Jets, that offense has to go through Breece Hall. Bottom line, they got to figure out how to get him the ball more and how to get Garrett Wilson the ball more, and it's just going to be a lot better outfit.
One more quick headline for you with the acknowledgement that we have a lot of games we still have to get to, including the Baltimore disaster against Pittsburgh. But it all started off yesterday morning, headline number 3. The Buffalo Bills had to fly to London, where Jacksonville's been living for the last 3 weeks, and it looked exactly like that out of the gate. Bad, boring offensive football, a lot of scoring late, but the Jaguars beat the Bills, a team that thought they were the best team in the AFC, not named Kansas City. And now Jacksonville wins back-to-back games in London, and they're back on top of their division.
Yeah, I know Josh Allen had a slow start, but I was shocked by this Bills defense. I thought they was going to play a lot better. I honestly did. They took a little bit of a beating in the second half, and it showed up on tape, man. I think Josh Allen's still a damn good quarterback, but this was a back-to-back wins for the Jaguars. They much needed.
Well, we got a great show for you today. Tons of football, of course, and these things right here. We will officially adorn the Dak Prescott statue with 1, 2, 3 more Dak Prescott interception chains. It's all coming up, and we'll break down the Cowboy loss right after this. Biggest letdown of the weekend was San Fran Dallas not being competitive at all. Dak Prescott, 3 interceptions. He threw 2 on back-to-back passes, by the way, as the 49ers dominate a defense that was supposed to be world beaters. Oh, we're the best defense in the NFC. No, you're not. You give up a 42-burger. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Dak Prescott postgame. Oh, Dak, how does this loss feel, buddy?
Didn't see it coming. As you said, put everything into this and got punched in the mouth. Called a couple of weeks ago, humbling against Arizona. But this may be the most humbling game I've ever been a part of. Felt good about the preparation, felt good about everything, honestly, coming into this game, matchups, and they beat us in every aspect.
Well, he's right about that. It wasn't just the Dallas Cowboys offense and him throwing 3 interceptions, chasing, 2 touchdown deficit, 3 touchdown deficit, etc. The defense no-showed you. I'm trying to figure out, though, let me just bring you into this, Willie, real quick. It seemed to me, from the naked eye, that they had Micah Parsons lined up a lot against Trent Williams, the best left tackle in all of football. He's the best left tackle in all of football. Yeah. Memo to Dallas. Let me say it so you can hear it. He's the best left tackle in all of football. Right. Why make that decision, right?
Listen, the bottom line, Micah Parsons got exposed, right? They showed the San Francisco 49ers, that when you attack the best pass rusher, you get the good things happen to you. Because George Kittle was able to block him one-on-one. Justin Usex was able to get after him. Trent Williams pretty much put him in a babysit. Yep. And Kyle Usex pretty much blocked him as well. But Trent Williams pretty much drove him around the block and put him to sleep. My thing with Micah Parsons, you have to stop with the I'm him comment right now because you got exposed last night. Yep. Enough is enough. And what happened last night for the Dallas Cowboys, it was a systematic breakdown. And it was right in front of Mike McCarthy because if you talk about what Dak Prescott wasn't able to do, the dink and dunks didn't work, the turnovers started to pile up, and it became a sack fest. Dallas Cowboys, they got to start over. I know that's Bill Belichick's word, and now we're going to get to that. Yeah. But you may have to start over with this offense because they made acquisitions in the offseason to be faster and better for this game solely alone, and they didn't answer the
Yeah,
call.
I disagree with you on this. I take this game, I don't even show the guys the film. I throw it right in the garbage. I burn it. I have a seance. You got the Chargers on Monday night, and then you got the bye week. Here's the reality for the Dallas Cowboys. You got exposed, but they got exposed against the best team in football. That's what San Fran is.
But Craig, they got exposed on Sunday Night Football. We all anticipated this game. Yeah. And Dak Prescott looked like a guy who was his first year in the league against a championship outfit.
I'm with you. And he threw 3 straight interceptions on back-to-back drives. But I'm willing to throw it out. And I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys, as you take a look,
this is the second half drive.
Not great.
This is coming out of halftime.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Is that good?
This was a systematic breakdown.
I don't think that's good.
Is that Zach Wilson?
Minus 10 yards?
I'm sorry. That's Dak Prescott. Look, it was ugly. It was ugly. A lot of it's on Dak, not all of it, because Dallas's defense could not stop San Francisco from the very first whistle. San Fran did everything they wanted, whenever they wanted to do it. So there's 2 stories here, right? There's the Dallas perspective of, oh my God, we're not that good. We got exposed. Dak is a problem. We can't win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
We know you can't beat San Francisco, but what the hell do we do now? But how about, for once in a blue moon, we look at things positively?
On a Monday?
Really?
San Francisco is the best team in football, and Brock Purdy is the most underappreciated rock star quarterback in the league.
But nothing the Niners did last night shocked America. What shocked America was how bad Dak played and how bad that team looked.
I still think there are people, Willie, that are shocked that Brock Purdy's as good as he is.
How?
Because all I hear about is Josh Allen. All I hear about is Jalen Hurts. All I hear about is Dak Prescott. All I hear about is Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow.
Right.
When here's the reality. That guy right there, Brock Purdy, is the best quarterback in the NFL today. He's the MVP, and it all goes through him.
He threw 4 touchdowns yesterday, right, in Brock Purdy. But not only did he do that, like I said earlier, he wasn't missing reads, and he was splitting zones in half. He was dropping dimes like we'd never seen before. If anything, we go back to the Dallas-Arizona game, he did what Arizona did in the first half. He attacked the middle of that defense, and he exposed the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And by the way, if I'm DeMarcus Lawrence and that whole defense, enough with the podcast, enough talking about what defense you were horrible last night. Normally they pressure the quarterback 50% of the time. They didn't get close to Brock Purdy last night.
Yeah, now here's the rub for the Dallas Cowboys. They don't play on Monday night, so they'll chance to lick your wounds a bit. But they do play against another offense that can score points and is going to score points in the LA Chargers. The Cowboys right now are sitting at 3-2. Oh, by the way, the Philadelphia Eagles are 5-0. So you're already 2 games behind Philadelphia, understanding that you haven't had a chance to play them yet. That's coming up, obviously, after the bye, where you have the Rams.
Yep.
We played the Eagles very tough yesterday. And then we'll get into the schedule a little bit later on. I'm going to try to be positive for everybody in Dallas,
I don't like
Texas.
positive, Craig.
Here's the deal. I can write this loss off as simple as it's a barometer stick of where we are today, not where we're going to be in January. That's how I view it.
I think that's fair to say, but it's not what you do, it's how you do
100%.
it. Losing like this
Yeah.
is really, really bad. He said it's the most humbling thing that ever happened to him. When you watch the beginning of the game, we saw the possession in the second half. All these interceptions happen in the second half. Is the 49ers get the ball and they just go right down the field. 7 plays,
Yeah,
75
like a
yards.
hot knife
right
through
in the
butter.
end zone, just like it's nothing. Every play was like 12 yards, right? And then the Cowboys get the ball. 3 and out.
Yeah.
Same thing happens the next 2 possessions. Cowboys get the ball, 3 and out.
Right.
These are the scripted plays. This is what you set up. This is what you practice for. Dak State was so happy about the preparation. What did you prepare?
Yeah, but again, I'm with you on that. I can't argue. Dallas played like crap. I mean, they got exposed defensively, and Dak Prescott reverted back to the ugly Dak Prescott, the guy that we've not seen at all this year until last night. But they played against the best team in football on both sides of the ball.
But Craig,
So I can write that game
But we
off.
talk about how you come off the bus. They started that game with a face mask on Chris McCaffrey.
Right.
Michael Parsons had the offsides, right?
Yep.
This team started bad. You cannot start bad on Sunday Night Football in front of America when you're supposed to be America's team.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah, but San Fran's America's team because they're the best team in football. And at what point, you guys are experts on this thing, that's why you're here, I think. At what point does Brock Purdy start getting some love? Like, when does that happen?
Today.
When do people start
day.
acknowledging
This day,
that
he got
Brock
it last
Purdy
week.
is the best quarterback in football?
Yeah, I think today is the day. You talk about throwing for 252 yards and for 4 touchdowns. But what Brock Purdy did, he just looked light years ahead of Dak.
Yes.
We talked about going into this week, talking about, listen, it wasn't about the wins and losses, to your point, right? Listen, it's week 5. You know they're going to see each other
You're
in
not
the playoffs.
going to win and lose the Super Bowl last night.
100%. But we said going into this game, and I remember Friday, it comes down to Dak versus Brock. Brock looks light years ahead of Dak.
Yes.
And Brock is the underpaid quarterback. When you get paid the bag the way Dak is getting paid, you can't throw 3 interceptions. You have to lead your team. It was dink and dunk. And by all accord, if I'm Mike McCarthy, there were points during that game where they were going east and west and nothing was happening. Instead of just going right
Does that
downhill.
mean sideline to sideline?
Sideline to sideline, yes.
So to make
Instead
sure
of-
I got my directional.
Instead of tacking the heart of it, and I know they couldn't, but for the most part, everything they tried just didn't work. The dink and dunks didn't work. They
But
were
why
out of
can't
sync
it
the whole
just be
night.
they had a bad game? I know, because nobody wants to accept that because it's the Dallas Cowboys. And here's the reality. All of us, you, me, we built this game up. This was going to be a matchup. All due respect to Philadelphia being 5-0, and of course they went to the Super Bowl last year. This was the matchup we were all waiting for. This collision course. They met in the playoffs the last 2 years. Dallas thinks they're better than they were the last 2 years. It's their time now to overtake San Francisco. And let's be honest, you got exactly what we've gotten the last couple of
But
years.
you can't say you've been humbled when going into this game, we know you've been humbled prior to this.
Right.
Right? So it's like, how many more times do you need to be humbled?
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking at Dak like, acknowledge you had a bad game, but also go back to the drawing board and say, whatever we did, we can't do again because nothing worked. They had our number in all 3 phases, defense, offense, and special teams. This was a total team domination.
San Fran's like that S&M Matrix, relationship. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I know.
No,
but don't explain. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want you to explain.
You know,
no, we're good. Go to break.
Chill out, Mark Albert.
I think you guys, don't you understand what I'm trying to say?
I think they wasn't going to break.
Anyhow, the Dallas Cowboys Cowboys are now 3-2. San Fran remains undefeated, as do the Philadelphia Eagles. More on them coming up in a little bit. But one of the big games in the AFC was that Hackett Bowl. The Jets and the Broncos and the New York Jets save their season. Philly's next. It was the biggest game on the docket yesterday. Could the New York Jets save their season? Answer, yes, we can. Go get that ball, Bryce Hall.
Yes,
there he goes.
Quincy.
Take it to the house, kid.
Take a slide.
Take it to the house. 31 points by the New York Jets. And the Jets did something yesterday that most Jet teams have not been able to do. And that is overcome New York Jets' dysfunctional play calling, coaching, and quarterback play. I take you to the end of the first half. Jets driving, hoping to get some points on the board before halftime. Zach Wilson finds C.J. Uzomah at the 9. Uh-oh.
Get on the ball.
Why?
The Jets have no timeouts.
Get on the ball.
What are we doing?
C.J. does the right thing. He runs the ball back. Zach Wilson nonchalantly, like he's going for a walk in the park, does not get the spike off before the clock runs out. He had no idea what was going on, and the New York Jets go into the locker room losing, not winning, and everyone's saying to themselves, that is dysfunction at its highest level. Blame the coaching staff, blame the quarterback. The Jets are going to lose.
Yeah, that was.
But then they turned it around.
Oh, man.
Like only this year's Jet team can. They relied on Zach Wilson. Ping, pong, boom. And, of course, the running of Breece Hall. And they dominated the second half against a team that's worse than they are.
Yeah, but the Denver Broncos were atrocious. They had 5 drives for a net yards of negative 18 yards.
Thank you,
I mean, they were just bad. But on top of that, if you're the Jets, there's a couple of takeaways. Get Breece Hall the ball.
Yep.
Breece Hall the ball more.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson needs more touches. He only had 3 catches. And on top of that, you have to figure out how to get Zach Wilson out of the pocket, because when he's scrambling with the boots and waggles, he's a more effective quarterback. Now, I know you don't want to put too much on him, but at this point, it's no more kid gloves for anybody.
And it will change, though. They still were very conservative in the first half, and I think he only attempted like 5 or 6 passes midway through the second quarter. And then again in the second half trailing, they're like, yo, it's time to go.
We got to go.
Urgency, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'll give Zach Wilson credit. There were 2 specific passes, and I know this seems kind of elementary because he's an NFL quarterback, but when you're talking about a kid that couldn't play NFL football, and now he's part of the reason that the New York Jets get a win yesterday. There was a huge third down play where he finds Tyler Conklin, the tight end,
huge.
and I mean, throws a bullet. Great pass.
Well, talked about the maturity. What he did a great job of looking the safety off with his eyes, right?
Yep.
That's something we didn't see with Zach prior. A lot of times in the scout report, they say, man, whatever he's going to throw the ball, he's going to look at it. He's going to see his target, throw it. That didn't happen. He was able to shift his eyes with the to kind of tell the safety to back off.
Right.
Conklin slipped behind his own for a big pass. I think it was like a 3rd and 4 he had to complete.
Yep.
So it was huge. And what I give Zach credit for during this game, he didn't seem rattled.
Correct. He seems like
he was like, I'm good. I got it. Let's
even
just
when
keep
he's
going.
taking a sack, he's not rattled. And you saw one of the plays right there. We're just seeing a variety of brilliance out of Zach Wilson right there. That's the play I'm talking about, though, because that's
him getting out of the pocket, by the way.
Rolling to his right, throwing to his left, over the outstretched arms of a D-back, and hitting Garrett Wilson for a huge, 25-yard gain.
Yeah, I credit the Jets on one thing, man. They just stayed gritty. And valid, this was the first half. I was like, man, please. Because after the first 3 and out, we had the botch kickoff return. I'm like, we're in scoring drive, and we came away with nothing. And I'm just like, we cannot lose to the Denver Broncos.
Right.
But they came out in the second half, and they figured it out.
Look, they beat Denver last year in the game that Breece Hall got hurt, and this had all the markings of it's going to be another one of those pull your hair out losses for the Jets after trading fumbles, and then the interception late to Surtain where he doesn't throw the ball back shoulder, throws it inside. But this team is just different. This team is built different. This is a team that learned how to win a game yesterday, a game that any other year for the last decade they probably would have lost. Now, what do the Jets get for winning yesterday and going to 2-3 and staying alive? Well, we get the Philadelphia Eagles undefeated at MetLife Stadium for a 4:25 game on Fox on Sunday. And remember this, we have plenty of time this week to break that game down. The New York Jet franchise has never beaten the Philadelphia Eagle franchise until 2023. That streak comes to an end, my friends.
some.
And the Jets go into the bye week 3-3 and a game out of first place.
Yeah, listen.
No.
Craig, what do you want me to say to that?
All right, let me tell you a story.
Let me tell you
guys
what
a
me to
quick
say to
story.
that.
And a mediocre
You're talking about
win
a
against
5-0
one of the
Eagles
worst
team.
teams.
Yeah.
That looks
Yeah.
like a juggernaut, right along with the San Francisco 49ers.
They do not look like a juggernaut.
Okay, all right.
They find ways to win. They are not the same as San Francisco. San
So
Francisco
1A, 1B.
Huh?
Right? 1A, 1B.
1A, 1D.
Okay,
Fine.
I don't
I'll
know
give
if
you
that's
that.
a thing.
I'll give you that. I want you to remember something. I want to just turn the clock backwards. A couple months ago, I found myself at a country club in Bedminster, New Jersey, with the head coach of the New York Jets, Robert Saleh.
You guys are friends.
Yes, we're friends.
Yes.
And we were discussing the starting schedule of the season. The first 6 games, very tough. Our colleague, Greg Jennings, said with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets were going to go 1-5. Greg, you're wrong. All right. And I said to Robert Saleh, 4-2 out of 6. That'd be a pretty good record going to the bye week because the next half of the schedule, not easy, but
Lights up,
easier.
yeah.
Little light, gets a little light. And he said to me, truth, if we get out of the first 6 500 or better, we're going to be a very tough team to beat. Now, he thought he was going to have Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, but he's right. If somehow, some way, they pull off that upset, and it would be a monumental upset against an undefeated team that the franchise has never beaten, right? You go into the bye week, everybody relaxes a little bit. The Giants are the worst team in football.
By far.
Bang! 4-3. The Chargers have no defense. The Raiders stink. We already beat the Bills once. And then the game we're all going to circle, kind of like last night's game between San Francisco and Dallas, the most anticipated AFC game of the year, the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins, Week 12 at MetLife Stadium. I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
No.
But
Never, not you.
that is on the table right now. The New York Jets, all jokes aside, saved their season yesterday by beating the Denver Broncos. And remember this. It was personal for the New York Jets because of the stupid comments that Sean Payton made this summer about the terrible coaching job that Nathaniel Hackett did in Denver as the head coach last year. Well, the Jets ran to their locker room after the win yesterday, and like children, like 13-year-old schoolgirls, they went right to social media. And let's take a look at some of those social media posts yesterday.
Yeah. They had that one ready. They had that one ready.
That was ready to go. That's Kevin James playing the role of Sean Payton in one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I watched it. I saw it. It was terrible. So that's one of them.
Too long.
I think we have another one, do we not? Well, that's just one of many.
Well, Sauce Gardner tweeted last ride.
Yeah, Aaron
Right.
Rodgers tweeted. Yeah.
Everybody tweeted because as much as the Jets wanted to downplay it, it was real. Not that that's why they won the game, but they wanted to win for Hackett. He's the only guy that got a game ball after the game, and I think they made it clear to Sean Payton, from now on, tighten your lip.
On top of that, Zach Wilson didn't regress, right? There was a lot of talk about him coming out of Kansas City, playing competent, efficient football. We didn't see him regress yesterday. Anything we saw was him stay poised and calm, in the second half actually deliver. Now, he has to be better on certain things. We obviously know that. They got to get more playmakers the ball. But
let me stop you there. It seems like they're trusting him more, and they're going to allow him to open up the offense more now, too, no?
Yeah, but there's still a lot of weapons to be had. Like, Nicole Hartman didn't dress yesterday. I don't know why.
Right.
Dalvin Cook, they're going to have to figure out, much like we saw in the Pittsburgh game, of getting Najee Harris and Jalen Warren on the same field. They got to get Dalvin Cook and Brees
He only
Hall.
had one good run, like an 8-yard run. Outside of that, pretty meager.
But they got to get both guys on the field.
I think there's going to be so much focus on Zach Wilson and Daniel Hackett, but the story of this game to me is Brees Hall being absolutely unlocked. And we're going to show the long run that he broke, but there was like 3 or 4 where he was like a shoestring tackle away from breaking it, or like one guy to beat.
Well, one time he looked at the camera and he said like
yeah,
this.
exactly.
Yeah,
like
I've done that before.
it wasn't just the touchdown run for me that really had me encouraged about Brees Hall. This is going to be the highlight run, but there was 3 or 4 other runs that were very, very close, and he was getting 8 yards, 9 yards.
He had almost 200 yards from scrimmage yesterday, right?
He was great. He's going to be more important than Zach Wilson getting mildly better.
Jets win, they go to 2-3. The Broncos season is now over as they sit there on the one win, the only one they got a week ago. I should mention very quickly before we take a break, the Cincinnati Bengals saved their season as well.
He's back.
Cardinals fought them though, but I don't care the final score of the game. I don't care that they won the game. It's what Willie Colon just said. They threw the deep ball, and he threw it well with authority. Now, if that's a foretelling of what's to come, the Bengals offense, and again, it's one game against what we think is ultimately a bad football team, so I don't want to overreact to it, but because of the other things that happened in the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals are very much alive in that division with tons of division games still coming their way. But if you're a Bengal fan, again, you won the game, that's all that matters. But it's the manner in which that offense executed their plays. And that is Joe Burrow having time, planting, stepping into a throw, and hitting Jamar Chase deep.
The Bengals go as far as that calf goes. Bottom line, you saw yesterday Joe Burrow do things we haven't seen in the last 4 weeks. Step into throws, actually scramble, buy time in the pocket, deliver the ball to Jamar Chase, who had 3 touchdowns. I'm talking about Joe Burrow of what we've seen from last year. Now, if he, we didn't believe his word prior to the other games. He was like, no, I'll be ready. I'll be fine. No, look at this right here. This is him buying time, throwing a dime in the back of the end zone to Jamar Chase. This is him.
This is
a dime. This is Joe Burrow coming out of LSU type dime. We hadn't seen this in weeks. So if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't know who your Lord and Savior is, but thank him. Right? Because Jesus Christ arrived for you. It happened. He played amazing yesterday. So it was a good game for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Again, it's against Arizona. But he did things in yesterday's game he's not physically been able to do in the first month of the season.
See, I love those passes, especially the deep ball to Chase. That's what we've been looking for all year. But there was one play in particular that made me feel like Joe Burrow is really back.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with through the air. It was this play right here. It's first down, but he's running the ball.
Look at that.
He's pressing.
He's fearless.
Sliding, he looked like Joe Burrow. He didn't do that all year until this one singular play. I was like, oh, that Joe Burrow is now back. Look out, AFC North.
Yeah, Jamar Chase had 15 catches, just under 200 yards, 3 tutties, and that offense looked good. I just want to caution everyone, it was against the Cardinals. Cardinals have played good football, and that was a tight game into the third quarter.
So the Jets beat the Broncos. The Jets beat the Broncos, and they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you got to caution everybody when the Bengals win.
The pivotal point of the game.
Relax.
Josh Dobbs threw that pick in his own end zone.
That was the game changer
That was
right
what
there.
That changed it. But other than that, the Cardinals put up a fight.
The Dobbs pick 6 was the game changer there because it gave Cincinnati a little extra wiggle room there. And then the offense took over. So if you're a Cincinnati fan, congratulations. Your season is back off of life support, and you have a legitimate pulse now. And part of that is because the Baltimore Ravens embarrassed themselves against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll get into that debacle and more in last night's Dallas Cowboy debacle right after this. Plus that, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The New England Patriots quit on their fan base yesterday. We'll explain right after this. So yesterday, NFL, the Miami Dolphins had 9 plays over 50 yards against the New York Giants. Tyreek Hill had a big-time touchdown, and after scoring the touchdown, he tried to give the football to his mom. Except there's a guy sitting in front of his mom. Okay?
Arrest that man!
That's my ball. And he's like, all right.
And his mama that's my ball, sir.
Look at him tuck.
Yeah, but here's my problem with it. Tyreek Hill's a cheap bastard. That's what I learned in this whole game.
How did you take that and come out with that?
Tyreek Hill's a cheap bastard.
What?
Tyreek Hill makes $30 million this year. He can't get his mom a suite.
His mom is sitting
in the end zone in 90-degree weather, sweating her coyotes off because her son's too cheap to get her a suite.
She sits wherever she wants.
How about
seats are a lot, by the way, firsthand. And secondly, it's really about the guy who stole the ball. You're a grown man. What are you going to do with that football?
Listen,
why can't you go buy?
For
if you
guys
afford those seats, you can find your own
football. For guys that play like you don't appreciate how important that ball is to guys like us.
Yeah, for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
That man's 65.
No. His mom doesn't have a ball.
Oh, man. I didn't know how you spin that one over.
Because I don't like the Dolphins.
He's cheap now? What are we talking about?
All right, more on the Dolphins later in the show as they embarrass the New York Giants and knock Danny Jones out of that game. Jacoby's here, and he's got first at football.
First in football, no team was more embarrassed yesterday than the New England Patriots. They hosted the Saints. They were at home, and they lost 34-0.
Yes.
Bill Belichick, disappointed. Mac Jones, replaced by Bailey Zappi, Are there going to be changes in New England after this embarrassing loss?
Yes, there's going to be changes. I don't think it happens during the season if you're talking about Belichick. I do think it happens after the season. He went back-to-back embarrassing losses, right? Against the Dallas Cowboys, of course, they get abused, and that's his worst home loss since he became the New England Patriot head coach. But here's my bigger problem. There's a point in this game where the great Bill Belichick quit on his team.
Ooh.
And
you're saying Bill Belichick?
So don't play it. Freeze it. All right. Freeze. All right, so check this out. The New England Patriots are already down 24-0 in this game. All right, we're 9:55 to go in the third quarter.
Still a game
They have a 4th and 3 on the Saints' 40-yard line.
Okay.
4th and 3, you're down 24 points. Obviously, you go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick waved the white flag. Bill Belichick waved the white flag, and he called the punting unit on the field. That is telling the guys on the sideline, I quit, I give up, it's a wrap, with essentially the entire second half to go. Now you know that it is over for Bill Belichick in New England. That's the moment we will look back on and go, that's the moment where we all learn that Bill Belichick no longer believes in his coaching ability or the talent he's put together on the sideline in New England. That was embarrassing.
Bill Belichick quit, but so did Mac Jones. You talk about a guy who had 6 interceptions, 2 fumbles, right? And four of those turnovers went for touchdowns. So my point is, if Mac Jones starts next week, we have to drug test Bill Belichick, right? At this point,
well, it's over.
There's no reason to start that man anymore. This is back-to-back weeks. You've benched him for Bailey Zappi.
Right, and rightfully so.
What are we doing? Why are you continue to put him out there if he's going to do that?
Mac Jones ain't the guy. Bailey Zappi ain't the guy. And the way this is going, the fact that the great Bill Belichick waved the white flag in a manner I can't ever remember him doing it. Patriot fans would certainly know better than me. You're down 24 points, right? In theory, that's 3 scores, right? And you're on the opponent's 40-yard line. It wasn't 4th and 30. It was 4th and 3. And after the game, Belichick was asked about it. I'll paraphrase here because he's so boring. I don't want to do it on a Monday morning to you. Bill Belichick came out and said, when we get better at 4th down, I'll put the offense on the field.
Well, one thing about that play.
Get 110.
I'm glad you brought up that play because there's 10 minutes left in the third quarter. This is not a lost cause at this point.
Correct.
And it's on the 40-yard line. That's a 57-yard field goal. If you're going to put a kicking unit out there, put the field goal unit out there. You netted basically 25 yards with that punt. They caught it around the 15.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically 25 yards.
Yeah, I thought maybe a fake punt there, something aggressive. You're down 24. You're not going to come back and win the game. And Bill Belichick waved the white flag like the quitter that he is. And that's how this is going to end in New England. Robert Kraft's going to have to go to him and say, look, I don't want to embarrass you because you meant so much to this franchise. You're going to get the 300 wins, but you're not going to catch Don Shula here because the cupboard is bare.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of talent there. And even if you want to tank now and try to get Caleb Williams, there's no guarantee that happens because the Giants are just as bad. The Bears are just as bad. So there's no guarantee you get the number 1 pick. And I think he goes to him and says, look, why don't you retire so I don't have to fire you? But Bill Belichick quit on the Patriots yesterday. Period. Stop. Second in football.
Second in football. The Chiefs, they rarely make it easy on themselves in the Viking game. Yesterday was no different. They did win 27-20, but they did not look great doing it. Seems like we say this after every week. The Chiefs didn't look great, but they won. Is there reason to be concerned?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit because they're not winning and they're not dominating the way they used to. Kelsey got hurt. I thought he was going to be out for a while.
I thought he was Achilles.
As did I. The way he limped off, and he came back and scored a touchdown and seemed great. He was running full speed. Look, the Minnesota Vikings had ample opportunities to put more points on the board and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The referees helped Kansas City out yesterday as well. We now know for a fact that the NFL is totally invested in Kansas City making another run to a Super Bowl by all the nonsense they pulled with the Taylor Swift crap over the last 2 weeks. But look, the Vikings season ended yesterday at 1-4, and the Kansas City Chiefs, I compare them more to the Eagles than I do anybody else. Because while the Eagles are undefeated, the Eagles haven't really, week after week, blown dudes out the way the San Francisco 49ers have. The Eagles have not played a great game to their standards yet this season. Even yesterday's win against the Rams, Matthew Stafford misses a wide open receiver for a touchdown that would have given the Rams the lead in the fourth quarter. And then we would have learned a lot about the Eagles coming from behind in the fourth quarter, which is something they've really rarely had to do in the Nick Sirianni era, with Jalen Hurts being a rock star quarterback. That being said, you can't be concerned if you're a Chiefs fan, because you don't have the right to be concerned with all the winning you've done. But the Chiefs are not the Chiefs of the last 3 years. And if you watch them at all this year, you would know that. Struggling against the Jaguars, struggling against the Jets, struggling yesterday against Minnesota. Patrick Mahomes is the difference maker, but this team right now is not winning a Super Bowl.
Well, but on top of that, if you're trying to stay up to the standard, right, and with the Miami's Dolphins putting up 500 yards of offense, you talk about Josh Allen, what he's able to do in Buffalo when the ball's in his hand, when he wakes up. I thought he had a slow start against Jacksonville.
Yep.
You have to be concerned for the Kansas City Chiefs right now, because no other weapon outside of Travis Kelce is working for you. I thought Isaiah Pacheco was going to have a better game. He was mute for the most part. That offensive line was up and down. If it's not for Patrick Mahomes, this is an average football team.
Now, let me just show you a quick play that I'm alluding to, where Minnesota got screwed by the officials. And again, the NFL's in bed with Kansas City. I hope that it's not now translated into referees making calls for Kansas City. But play the tape here real quick, because here's Minnesota down a touchdown late in the game, 4.5 minutes to go. You're not showing the exact thing I need to see, which is there's a pass interference called in the end zone. Minnesota's going to get the ball first and goal on the 1. All right, the back judge comes over and changes the call from pass interference to uncatchable ball.
Yep.
It was not uncatchable. Secondly, the Chiefs defensive back right there takes his helmet off on the field. I know it's ticky-tacky, and I would hate it if it was called against me, but that is a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct, 15 yards first down.
The ref told him to put his helmet back on instead of calling the penalty.
It's a penalty.
But at the same time, I see you call that after, like during the play, if that happens directly after the play. He's simply trying to get clearance,
Can't take the helmet off. I hear what you're saying.
But it's.
I want to be clear. It's ticky-tacky, and it would bother me if I were a Chief fan. But if I'm a Viking fan watching that game, and I'm down a touchdown, 4.5 minutes to go, and I get pass interference in the end zone, and the back judge then says, well, it really wasn't interference, I'm livid about that. And then when the Chief player takes his helmet off on the field of play.
But he's talking to the refs, Craig.
With the helmet on.
But let's forget
you cannot take the helmet off.
The actual call, they called it uncatchable, but it was only uncatchable because of the pass interference.
Yeah, and by the way,
like the helmet thing is distracting, but the actual call is a bad call.
To show you I'm a good guy, and I'm magnanimous, and I'm honest, all right? I thought it was a bogus call. I didn't think it was pass interference.
All right.
That being said, it almost never happens when a back judge comes up and overrules a pass interference call. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it. I didn't think it was a good call, but the call was made. The thing that bothers me now is that we saw with T.J. Watt earlier this year, right?
He did it multiple times.
You take your helmet off on the field, whether we like the rule or not. It is an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, 15 yards, automatic first down. The Vikings had plenty of other chances to score touchdowns and maybe win this game, but in that particular moment, with 4.5 minutes to go, the officials screwed the Minnesota Vikings. Helmets off. That's a penalty. Immediate flag for taking your helmet off on the field of play. And the referee said, put your helmet on. Well, where's the flag?
Yeah.
Right? So Kansas City gets the benefit.
It happened in the Jets game, and it happened right here. Chiefs, refs.
I just think the rules have to be the same for everybody. You can't have one set of rules for Kansas City and another set of rules for everybody else.
Moving on to third in football. We spoke about it briefly, but the Eagles beat the Rams, and the Rams didn't go down easily. The Eagles are now 5-0 in the grand scheme of things. Not here at this desk, but sort of like amongst football fans. Are people sleeping on the Eagles?
They're 5-0. I mean, how could you sleep on the Eagles? Now, when they get beaten by the Jets this weekend, we can start talking more about what's wrong with Philadelphia. I thought Jalen Hurts had his best game this year. Ran for 75 yards, threw for over 300 yards, makes every big throw with the game close, which it was for the majority of the game. That's a very, very good team. I'm sick and tired of the tush push or the brotherly shove.
The brotherly shove.
Yeah, whatever they're calling it. But I also recognize it's unstoppable. And until they outlaw it, keep on doing it because nobody can stop it. The Eagles are very good. And we're looking right now like the Eagles in San Fran are on that collision course again like last year. But they have not yet played a dominant game the way San Francisco has.
All I got to say, I watched the Eagles and Rams, and I just quivered, right? Because the Eagles' offensive line are bullies.
Yes.
They're bullies
Yeah.
and they're physical. And they held Aaron Donald to 0 sacks. It wasn't like he was even on the field. And we don't have an Aaron Donald on our defensive line, Craig, for the New York Jets.
No.
We don't have one. So we just got to hopefully.
Pretty good, though.
Pretty
good.
All I'm saying, we got to thicken up for next week.
Yes. More on that coming up throughout the week. I don't think anyone's sleeping on the Eagles because how do you sleep on one of only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL? That, of course, is San Francisco and Philadelphia. We'll get your headlines coming up. We'll bring in Plaxico Burris here for the remainder of the show as well. And we'll start off with how the 49ers dismantled and crushed and embarrassed and humiliated the Dallas Cowboys right after this. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show on this Monday morning. That's David Jacoby right there. We got Super Bowl champion Cologne, and now joining us on set, and he will the entire week, my main man, New York Giant, Super Bowl champion, Mr. Plaxico Burris. Woohoo! Just a reminder, Plax, your Giants embarrassed themselves yesterday, and my Jets won. Good job. Here's David Jacoby now with all of your headlines. Take it away.
Big game last night between the Niners and the Cowboys, and it was bad for the Cowboys in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. There's another pick from Dak Prescott. He had 3. The Cowboys looked bad. The Niners looked great. What did this loss tell you about the Cowboys?
It told me that San Francisco is the best team in football, and Dallas, when pressed to have to win a close game, which this was not, is going to revert back to what they've been the last couple of years. A very good team that can't beat really good teams, and that's what the Dallas Cowboys are in the moment. The beauty of this game happening in Week 5, though, for me, is that you didn't win a Super Bowl yesterday. You didn't lose the Super Bowl yesterday. You got 3 more months of football to figure out why you were so bad against the best team.
Yeah, one of the reasons why they were bad because they played too conservative. You talk about being down 14 and coming out at halftime. I got a play if we can throw it up right here. We got Dak Prescott on the center, right? And when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys moving forward, man, one of the things we needed to see in the second half was for them to take chances. You had to flip the table. They didn't have an opportunity to do here. He goes, Dak, this is a 3rd and 4. They hand off the football. Stop. Niners, right? They kick a field goal right after here. But you talk about being down 14, 3rd and 4. You can only draw up a run. That's called scared football. That's talking about tapping. That's talking about the Dallas Cowboys realizing that the bullies were on the other side of the field and they are taking our soul. So there's no reason it's 3rd and 4 and you're doing a handoff, a dive off the left side. It's embarrassing because if I'm Dak Prescott and you had a chance to come out the second half to put on the cape,
sure,
and started on that job because prior to that play they started to roll.
Yeah.
And so I'm Mike McCarthy, man. It was instances like that. I'm like, they're scared. They're ready to go home.
Hey, man, I just think we can all say that Dak has a long way to go before he can be recognized as being an elite quarterback.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it all comes down to him, and I've said that. And some of those interceptions that he was throwing yesterday, he was throwing those in training camp.
Right.
Throwing it to the safety with the
like
safety.
that's not even close.
Yeah, with the safety over the top. Just making bad read, another rinse, as y'all would call it. And I just thought that the Dallas Cowboys would come out and play better on defense. Michael Parsons in that group. But Trayvon Diggs is really
missing.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Plax, what you just said. These are 3 interceptions, and look, they're down 25 points on that one. Even if you take that one off because it did hit the receiver in the hands.
Fred Warner had a day.
That's a bad pass right there. He never sees a linebacker.
Yeah.
And the deep ball, as you're suggesting, that's just a desperate, I'm going to throw it deep and cross my fingers, and that ball's never got a chance of being caught.
And also, I said earlier in the year, I say, other than CeeDee Lamb, who is the offensive production going to come from?
Right.
You can't get the running game going with Tony Pollard, and now you don't have a Dalton Schultz as a security blanket for your tight end. And teams are going to double team CeeDee Lamb and take him out of the football game. Who are your offensive guys that's going to produce?
But on top of that, Dak had 3 straight turnovers.
Yes.
Like it's one thing to kill drives, but that's nothing where you just don't look like you're competent on being on the field. You're talking about field goals, interception. Like that doesn't even look real.
We need Dak to do less. I mean, that's what Jerry Jones said.
Well, you can't do more or less than that. Like, you're talking about 9 out of 13 drives, like 3 plays or less. I mean, that's just bad football for America, man. Like, this is supposed to be America's team. We were expecting Dak to be better. Right. They had offseason acquisitions to kind of stay on par with the 49ers. If I can't state it enough. Me and you and Jacoby talked about it when Greg was here. it had to be. This was a story about Dak versus Brock.
Yeah.
There's no way you could turn on the tape and look at what Brock Purdy did compared to what Dak said, and even remotely consider them at the same level.
Let's get to Brock in 1 second. Just a final thought for now. We'll do more on this later in the show. On Dak Prescott, when you're down 25 points, the dink and duck offense doesn't work because there's not enough time for you to get the ball enough times to actually make a run back. So all of a sudden, the offense that has worked for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys this year, albeit to be fair, against the Giants, against the Jets, against New England, 3 teams that don't exactly rise up to the top teams in the NFL right now.
Except for the Jets.
But it was dink and dunk.
Stop it.
Right, so you're down 25. All of a sudden, the offensive game plan changes. Now we got to trust our quarterback to throw the ball down the field, and you saw the results. That's what every Cowboy fan, and for my money, what Mike McCarthy's been afraid of. If we need Dak Prescott to throw the ball more than 10 or 15 yards down the field, we are in trouble. And you saw that last night.
On top of that, you're talking about the Niners, right? Like, one thing the Niners were doing, they were playing man and they were playing zone. They was mixing it up for the most part. And then Fred Warner was just a ball hawk. He was all over the field, just him making a play on the game. But on the flip side of that, for Brock Purdy, Dan Quinn prides himself on being able to play man. He didn't have that in luxury because obviously Tavon Diggs was out. But there was times where he was trying to confuse Brock. Brock was delivering balls in the zone. I mean, he was just splitting zones, just dropping dimes over linebackers' heads. He just like the more competent and more ready quarterback. So why don't we just
say it the way it is? Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in the NFL.
He's not the best quarterback.
He's
not the best quarterback in the NFL.
Last night he played like it.
He's turning into
the best quarterback in the NFL.
He's turning into an elite quarterback.
I don't know if
especially with all the weapons that he has. He's not forcing the ball into dangerous situations, and he's delivering the football to the guy that is open.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing.
Well,
he's
here's a good example of that. Coming into this game, George Kittle had a single catch this year, and obviously no touchdowns. But yesterday, on 3 different occasions, George Kittle's wide open.
Yes.
And what did Brock Purdy do? He finds the open guy. Those numbers are stupid, and yet all I ever hear about is, oh, Josh Allen, oh, Justin Herbert, oh, Joe Burrow, oh, this guy, oh, that guy. This guy right here does not get the respect that he deserves. He's the MVP of the league. He's the best quarterback in football.
Flax, look at the bottom of the screen. What did I say?
I'm looking at
9
the bottom of the
straight
screen.
games without a
17 completions for 252 yards. I get it.
Yeah.
Look at all the weapons that this guy does have.
Yeah, not his fault.
He probably has the best weapons in all football, but you can't just come out and say.
But that's not fair.
You can't come out and say he's the best quarterback in football.
Here's the deal.
No, you can't.
Hang on a second, if I may.
No.
When Joe Burrow was getting all the love to be an
I know
MVP,
it's Monday.
Hang on.
I know it's Monday.
I might be tripping, but let me trip for another 30 seconds.
No
all right.
way.
Joe Burrow. He's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, right? Oh, pretty good receivers, yeah. Oh, Jalen Hurts. He's the MVP of the league. He's got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and the best offensive line in football.
Right.
Brock Purdy has great talent around him, and he uses it perfectly. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's the MVP. And if you say I'm wrong,
he's a very good young player.
He's the best
It's not even about the interceptions. That's great. No interceptions in 9 games. But he's throwing guys open. That's
what I just said.
But now he's
that's what makes him irrelevant.
But Jalen Hurts had a pick. Herbert has pick. There's games where we talk about the elite quarterbacks. I love Tua. Tua had 2 interceptions yesterday. So you're talking about the best quarterback in football as of right now going into week 6?
No.
It is Brock Purdy.
Yes.
Hands down, it's not even a question. Best quarterback in football as of right now is Brock Purdy.
He's not.
He's the best quarterback in the 49ers.
He's the best quarterback in football right now.
No, he's not. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football.
Thank you.
Forever will be. He's the Super Bowl MVP. He's the MVP.
And he's not better than healthy Joe Burrow either.
If I may,
he's not
and a lot
better
of
than
people
healthy
feel
Joe
the way
Burrow
you guys
Mahomes is
feel.
the best quarterback in football.
A healthy Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes.
What's the Niners record?
If I may, and I love you guys.
What's Jalen Hurts' record?
And I respect you guys.
Well, that's because they're defense.
21-1.
Listen,
As
that's
a
a
starter.
lazy narrative.
All right.
Just leaning back on, Patrick Mahomes, he won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes right now in the moment is the second best quarterback in the NFL. Because Brock Purdy is the best quarterback on the planet Earth right now. That's that.
Next.
Moving on to the next headline, and it
4
involves
touchdowns.
the New York Jets. They went into Denver. They beat the Broncos. They didn't look great doing it. Zach Wilson came out pretty flat in the first half, but turned it around in the second half. Craig, very simply, how do you feel about your New York Jets?
I feel like looking at Plaxico and going, ha ha. Oh, the New York Jets saved their season. Look, the Broncos are a bad football team, so I'm not having a. I'm not going to have a parade for the Jets. Although I do have to get out here early because there is a parade for the New York Jets. Look, that was a season-saving game. That's all they did. They saved their season. But I do want to tell you one little thing. All right, Zach Wilson for his career is about a 54% completion percentage quarterback, which gets you kicked out of the NFL very quickly. In these last 2 weeks, ever since they decided to allow him to throw the ball more and put a little trust on his shoulders, he's completing more than 70% of his passes. He is now part of the reason why the Jet offense has started to look a little bit better. They are far from perfect. They are far from great. But you saw a great defense yesterday. And here's one thing. Not great. I won't say this. All right, we all talk about Zach Wilson and the offense. I want to give the New York Jets credit for this. Yesterday, with a small lead after the interception to Patrick Surtain down inside the 5, the New York Jets defense had to come on the field and try to win a game. And obviously they get the sack and the fumble and the return to win the game. Mm-hmm. A lot of teams in that spot, and we've seen it with the Jets, with the Giants, all the teams you guys have played for, sit back and go zone defense and then let the other team kind of get 10, 15 yards, clock's ticking down, only one timeout. The New York Jets, to their credit, said, look, we don't have two of our best cornerbacks in this game today, but our defensive line is on fire. We're bringing the pressure. So instead of sitting back and letting Russell Wilson kind of dink and dunk them and run for positive gains, which he did very well yesterday, they brought the noise. And because of that, they got pressure on him. They sacked him a couple times on that last drive and ultimately got this fumble right here. Right. Quincy Williams might be the best linebacker in football right now, the way he's playing. And the New York Jets defense solidified the win. That's aggressive mindset that I'm glad the Jets had.
Yeah, I'm proud of Robert Saleh because I think leading up to this game, he was playing that bend but don't break defense. This is a crucial moment in the game where he respected Russell Wilson and his ability to kind of seize the game in that moment. Because the Broncos started to rally, bottom line, right? But I'm talking about him dialing up blitzes to get after Russell Wilson. And this is what I want to take away from that. They need more of that. But not in that crucial moment, but throughout the game. Because the front four for the New York Jets, they're having trouble getting to the quarterback. Yeah, they imposed the will. Bryce Huff had a pretty good game. But you're talking about going against the Philadelphia Eagles. If you allow Jalen Hurts to do what he does, they're going to get blown out the board. They have to dial up blitzes like they did against the Broncos.
From a ball security standpoint yesterday, both quarterbacks were terrible. I mean, let's just say that. There's no way Russell Wilson should be scrambling out of pocket with the ball dangling in his right hand. And up to that point, it's a 3-point game. So if they go down and kick the field, they go down, at least get a field goal and tie the game up. But when you get a strip fumble like that in return for a touchdown, it just kind of killed their drive. But listen, for Zach Wilson, it's a little bit better to play quarterback when you have a running game.
For sure.
Breece Hall, he goes for 177 yards. It takes a lot of pressure off of him, and now he can, throw the ball around.
Yeah, and I give the Jets credit. Their offensive line is not great, but they run block very well, at least the last couple of weeks. And there was a commitment to give Breece Hall the ball.
Right.
And they never varied from that. Even down early, there was a low-scoring game, they were never more than a score out of it. They kept saying, look, we're going to be patient. We're going to throw the ball a little bit more in the second half, but we're going to win this game on our ability to run the football. And Breece Hall showed you again, with those training wheels off and the pitch count gone, he is a legitimate threat every time he gets the rock.
I mean, who would think that this guy will be having the season that he has coming off of ACL? I mean, he's marching himself on the way to the Pro Bowl. And not even a year removed from an ACL, and this guy goes out and he's playing the way that he's playing, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, so the Jets go to 2-3. Season stays alive. They have the Eagles coming up Sunday afternoon. The Denver Broncos, maybe the worst coaching in the history of football, Sean. They now sit on 1 win, and their season is kaput.
Moving on to our third headline. It feels like this game was 3 weeks ago, but it was just yesterday morning. Of course, we're talking about the Bills and the Jaguars in London. The Bills had to travel from Buffalo. The Jaguars were there since last week when they played the Falcons in London. I think that played a factor on purpose. And this makes me feel maybe there might be a little bit of challenge to the Bills in the AFC.
Yeah, well, look, the Miami Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills have now lost to the New York Jets, and this game coming off 3 really good games, especially on offense. I think the NFL screwed the Bills, though.
Yes.
This was a Bills home game in London, and while every team has to suck that up at some point, and I never like it, the reality is that allowing Jacksonville to play in London back-to-back weeks, so they were there for 3 full weeks, their bodies are acclimated to the time difference, the weather, all that nonsense, the fields they're playing and practicing on. To have Buffalo fly out Monday or Tuesday and meet a team that's been there for 3 weeks wasn't fair. You saw, as you said, a very slow start for the Bills offense. I mean, this game had 21 points, 28 points, I think, scored in like the last 7 minutes of the game as they went back and forth. But you also saw the difference that Calvin Ridley makes for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Game on the line, big third down play, and Trevor Lawrence finds Calvin Ridley down the right sideline to pretty much seal it when the Bills offense had finally started, kicking. But it's a huge win for Jacksonville. Back-to-back wins now. They go to 3-2, so they're over 500. And then the Bills are trying to figure out, was it just because it was in London?
Yep.
Is this really us? What happened to the offense we've seen the last 3 weeks? They never really looked right. And I'll give you the last couple minutes that you went on the scoring barrage, but the offense never looked right.
I mean, you got to give Jacksonville credit. Everybody from the Bills are making, excuses saying, listen, we arrived 50 hours before the game. But I played in the first game over in London, and we went out on a Monday. So the organization didn't do a good job by getting them there early enough. But if you look at the Bills, Josh Allen still threw for 359.
Yeah, a lot of it late.
And Stephon Diggs, caught 120-some yards, and they have a 4-play drive for 75 yards for a touchdown. But Jacksonville just made more plays than they did down the stretch.
Yeah, here's the real problem for Buffalo now. Von Miller was seen on the sideline wearing a baseball cap. I don't even think he played in the fourth quarter. Number one. Number two, Milano, who's their best defensive player, their middle linebacker right there. He's out for the season.
Those are all big-time players for
Buffalo. This is legitimate.
Yeah.
He broke his leg. Obviously, Tre'Davious White, torn Achilles, out for the year. Milano out for the year. I'm not sure how long Jones is out for with that torn pectoral, maybe the year. But those are significant injuries over the last 2 weeks. Milano may be bigger than anyone.
And this, I got a highlight a play that happened yesterday that pretty much highlights the Bills' defense and what to expect going forward. Help me out with this, Plex. Here we go. We got Travis Etienne in the backfield. I'm going to throw it up right here. But there's 9 men in the box. Can we count it out there, Plex?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right, 9.
Good job, Plex. Good job, Plex.
I mean,
Right off the left side, you think he's going to make it? Bang! 88 out the gate. 35-yard touchdown for Travis Etienne. That can't happen. We talk about the Buffalo Bills. We talk about the Buffalo Bills doing what they did against the Miami Dolphins. And we said, oh, my God, the Bills' defense is legit. You lose Milano. Von Miller's a shell of himself. You lose Tre'Davious White. And this is the future. 88 out the gate. Travis Etienne, 35-yard touchdown to seal the game. The Jaguars, I thought, played clunky for the most part. Trevor Lawrence,
they weren't great.
Okay, they weren't great. But when you're able to run the ball and complement it with the pass, and you have to run to seal the deal like that, man, the Jags, man, they look.
By the way, just real quick on that play, Milano not being on the field, is that a big reason why that run breaks or no?
No, I'm looking at this play, and I think the cornerback has to fill that hole inside of the tight end. He goes outside of the tight end, and ETN cuts it right in front of him. Number 6 up there. Number 6 is supposed to go inside of this tight end and make this play, but he's protecting his outside. He has to go in there and make that play.
And on top of that, Milano he wouldn't have made the play, but he would have talked those guys to what Plax just said.
Nice.
He got him in position.
Number 6, you messed up. That's what
Number 6.
All right, by the way, a team that messed up big time yesterday, the Baltimore Ravens, playing your Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Ravens had so many chances. They should have won this game by 30
there
points.
We go.
And I'm not exaggerating. But when the dust settled, it's the Steelers that go over 500. And the Steelers are right now sit, dare I say, in first place.
Yeah.
All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in first place.
Yeah!
How did that happen? Because with just about a minute to go, George Pickens scores a touchdown that essentially ends it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But let's be honest about it. While Pittsburgh gets a win and it counts, this was more about the Baltimore.
A win, Craig.
No, this is more about the Baltimore Ravens choking up a win 5 drop passes, the strip sack fumble right there that the Steelers pick up to wrap it up. Zay Flowers was terrible. He fell down on a ball that would have been a touchdown. He dropped the ball over the middle. You got Mark Andrews dropping balls in the end zone. And you have Lamar Jackson forcing a ball into Odell Beckham, who has like 0 catches this year, trying to give his guy a touchdown. The Baltimore Ravens should have beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers by 30. They dominated the game, except that they couldn't get the freaking ball in the freaking end zone. So instead of being 4-1 and sitting there on the perch on top of the AFC North and watching everybody else scramble for crumbs, they're now sitting there in second place behind the Pittsburgh Steelers. An embarrassingly bad divisional loss, and this offense still isn't right.
It's not right because a lot of their key players weren't put in situations where they can succeed.
Balls in hands, you mean?
Balls in hands. You talk about an interception late in the end zone. Can we get that up? This is one of my favorite plays of the games, right? And me and Plex, being former Steelers, one thing we thrive on is seeing the Ravens lose. That's Mark Andrews, by the way. He had 2 red zone touchdowns against the Browns, right? Not in the end zone today. That's OBJ. That's Lamar Jackson's dog, so to speak. He's staring down. Hit! Lamar throws that ball inside, right? For one of our own, Joey Porter Jr., right? The son of great Joey Porter. Here goes Mark Andrews one-on-one with Michael Fitzpatrick. Doesn't see him, locked up. Lamar is staring down OBJ. Look what the safety does right here. He goes, I know where you're throwing the ball. Oh, boom, right there. Interception. The bottom line, it wasn't just Lamar Jackson throwing interceptions. It was the fact that he was off all day.
Yeah.
It was the misreads. It was the drop passes. This Baltimore Ravens offense just isn't in sync.
Not just that, guys. They got shut out in the second half.
Yeah.
They didn't score a single point in the second half, and God knows they had plenty of opportunities to do it.
Yeah, with 10-point lead as the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm saying to myself, I know they're not going to blow the Steelers out at home, and then you get a drop touchdown by Rashad Bateman. You get a drop touchdown by Mark Andrews, and I think Kenny Pickett said it best after the game. We found a way to win the game down the stretch.
He's right.
And I'm saying to myself, to Lamar Jackson, it seems like he's trying to prove that he's a pocket passer. Be Lamar Jackson, be that dynamic quarterback that everybody knows you can be. And when he's in these 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 situations, you expect for him to get out of the pocket when it's collapsing and get out and make plays with his feet. And I just kind of thought that he was being complacent yesterday without getting out in the pocket and running the football and converting first downs and everybody know he can.
What's crazy about that is the one aspect of the Steelers you have to respect is their defense. They're led by their defense. Their offense has really been lousy thus far this year. That touchdown pass with a minute something to go to Pickens might be their best offensive play of the year, and it puts the game away. But he almost got the sense, I was watching a lot of this game, that they didn't take Pittsburgh all that seriously. That they were, I don't say lackadaisical or nonchalant, but you have guys who are sure-handed guys dropping balls. They dropped 5 balls yesterday. Zay Flowers, who's been a great rookie, not a good one, he has been great. So he gets a pass, I suppose. There's one play where he's wide open, he just falls down. There's another play coming across the middle. Ball's a little bit behind him, but it does hit him in the hands, and he drops that ball. Mark Andrews, the security blanket for Baltimore. Nobody made a play when a play had to be made. That's what Zay I'm talking about right there. And they had so many chances, and they were inside Pittsburgh territory so many times. Mark Andrews, touchdown. Nope, can't make the grab. And then at the end, the forced ball to Odell Beckham, who has no separation, and Joey Porter Jr. is standing right in front of him. And like you just said, he eyeballed him the whole way and threw it right to him.
You got to understand your personnel if you're Lamar Jackson, knowing that Joey Porter Jr., he's a tall corner, 6'2", he's rangy, he's very good in bump press. And if you're going to give your guy a chance, throw the ball to the back of the end zone, because now you have 6'2" on 5'10", and we're calling that a 50-50 ball. That's not a 50-50 ball. And then on defense for the Baltimore Ravens, you match up Marlon Humphrey on Pickens and bump and run coverage, and everybody knows that's an automatic mismatch.
Sure.
And you can see when the ball came down in his hands that Humphrey wasn't even in phase with him.
Oh, how about you just switch, right? How about you put Mark Andrews where OBJ was and put OBJ in the slot and throw to your 6'7" tight end.
Which they did last week.
Who had 2 touchdowns. So that's what you should.
It cannot be overstated just how bad the Steelers' offense was in this game, especially to start the game. Because I watched this one too, and I think you said something smart when you said it was almost like they took it for granted. Because watching the game, they're up 10-3 for most of the first half, and they had so many opportunities. I myself was like, oh, the Ravens got this one. They're going to figure it out. Yeah. But they just never put them away. And then in the second half, Pickens hit a couple times. Next thing you know, they're looking down and they're losing.
It reminded me a lot of the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game earlier this year, where the Pittsburgh offense did even less than they did yesterday, and defensively they had 2 scores, and they stole another divisional game. But that's Mike Tomlin, right? Every time you count the Pittsburgh Steelers out, Mike Tomlin and that defense specifically finds a way to win a game, and you
asked me before the season started, you said, will this be the season that Mike Tomlin has his first losing season?
Yes.
And I said no, because he will find a way to get it done.
You know who said yes?
Now I know
he
why
will find a way to get it done.
I just board of receipts.
Yeah.
Hey, the standard is the standard.
Do you want to get the receipts?
Hold on, no, because before the segment, Willie was like, oh, someone go get the board of receipts ready. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, what could Willie be referencing on this? Now I think I have a little idea, Mr. Cologne, of what you're trying to get at here.
There's 2 things here I want to highlight, right? One of them is...
Wait a minute.
This is Jacoby, right?
That's me.
Steelers will finish below 500.
Yeah.
I mean, can we? That's
he
tough.
did say that.
He did say that.
He did say that.
Still
yeah.
very much in play.
And I said the AFC North is going to be the toughest division in football because it's up for grabs and anybody can win.
It is up for grabs now. That's for sure.
But this is what we got to pay attention to. And I think the stoic right here, Willie Cologne says.
Stoic.
Stoic.
TJ Watt is an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
We saw to highlight him recovering the football, getting a sack to seal the game. I mean, I just don't know what you want. We talk about Michael Parsons, TJ Watt, MVP there.
He continues to wow, man, every time he's on a national stage. And when you talk about great rush ends, we don't miss him in the top 3. We talk Bosa, we talk Myles Garrett, we talk Michael Parsons, but nobody talks about TJ Watt.
Got to talk about Watt.
In that top 3 group, and I think he is probably the best rush end in all of football at this point.
There you go.
And he's the all-time sack leader in Pittsburgh history already.
Nothing makes me happier than these guys toot their own horn. Something I would never do.
What you mean?
On this show.
Hey, well, you're right.
Never do that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm right, I never bring it up. I never gloat about being right.
Whatever.
All right, time now. It is Monday. First segment we call Get Learnt. These are all the things we learned this weekend from the NFL. First and foremost, the thing I learned is that the 49ers are the best team in football, and right now it's not very close, dominating a team that most people think of as among the elite teams of football going into the game. And San Francisco proved to the world that they're not the Giants, they're not the Jets, they're not the Cardinals, they're not the Patriots, the 4 teams the Cowboys had played prior to this game. But they can beat you, obviously, on offense. Brock Purdy going to his right. That's a dime to George Kittle. Brock Purdy again finds the open man. Oh, that's Kittle again. He had another touchdown on top of that. Defensively, they are money good against anybody. And this team right now has all the makings of, we got screwed last year because he got hurt in the NFC Championship game. We know the window's small. We are coming for bear, so hide the women and children. Here comes San Francisco.
What happened to this daunted Dallas defense, by the way?
Yeah,
they
got exposed.
We could talk about Dak and his interceptions. We could talk about the deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball. But defensively, they got exposed in the worst way.
So let me ask you this. Were the Dallas Cowboys, their fast start, 3-1, was that more a product of who they played or more a product of how good they can be?
Who they played.
Bing. I'm with Plex. It's who they played, because if listen, to test who you are and what the standard is, you got to go against a great outfit. And they had a great outfit in San Francisco 49ers where they showed up and had a big day. They got beat up. Yeah. Michael Parsons got beat up. By not even Trent Williams, it was by the fullback. George Kittle was blocking 1-on-1. It was a day.
And by the way, if you win 17-16, both teams go home and go, we're right there, right?
Yes.
Right.
But when you beat them down in the manner that San Fran did, and then you kind of expose Dak in that second half, where all of a sudden he's got to make plays, and he's throwing the ball to San Francisco more than he is to Dallas. If I'm a Cowboy fan, that's the worst case scenario. Not just losing, but having Dak revert back to what you got last year.
We never thought we was going to see a Cooper Rush sighting or a Sam Darnold sighting. That's how ugly the game got.
Yep.
So if we go into this game talking about the two quarterbacks, man, the fact that Dak was literally benched this game, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's
I
bad
know
for
this
Jerry,
is on the list, but I just want to add it because we're doing San Fran Dallas. The other thing I learned this last night, Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in football. And if he's not the MVP, there needs to be an investigation. All right, number 3. Also speaking of San Fran Dallas, something else I learned, Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys think they're a lot better than they really are. Here's Micah, I believe, right? Here's Micah Parsons. Go ahead.
They really are higher level than us. I think we're the same caliber playoff team, if not the same talent standard as them. I just feel like we need to really reconsider some things, get together, and fix it.
Look, I don't know what he even just said there. What's there to reconsider? You got your asses handed to you. Everything you did to the Giants, Jets, and Patriots, they did to you. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, to a man, I go home last night saying, I'm just not sure how good we are.
You need to reconsider your confidence because what that did to that team, confidence-wise, moving forward, if the Dallas Cowboys happen to run into the 49ers in the playoff, you go into that game thinking, we don't have a chance to win the game.
That's right.
Based off the last performance. So I don't know what they're going to do, go back to the drawing boards or let Dak do less. But the offensive performance that the 49ers put on the Dallas defense, I thought Dallas was going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. If the 49ers can put up 42 points on that defense, then I got to say they're probably the best offense.
And you know, Plaxby, there's a great sports cliche. It's the Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have been punched in the mouth twice this year, and they lost both games. The Cardinals weren't afraid of them, popped them right in the mouth, and they ran away with that game. Last night, same thing. Out of the gate, Brock Purdy and that Niner offense said, we hear a lot about Micah Parsons. We hear a lot about Lawrence. Hear a lot about this great defense. Bang, right down the field, touchdown. What do you have in return? And the answer was nothing last night.
We talked about the power shift in Dallas right now. We were so enamored with Dak or his production with the offense. But we said, hey, man, this defense is supposedly be good enough to win games for you. They got dominated.
Yep.
You can no longer say that because of what happened to Michael Parsons. They didn't even get to Brock Purdy. They couldn't do anything against Debo and George Kittle. So I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys right now like you got bigger troubles to worry about.
I think they will continue to feast on bad teams when they play against a really good team.
Yep.
Meaning those two matchups against the Eagles are going to tell you a lot about the Dallas Cowboys. All right, another thing I learned this weekend. New York Giants offensive lineman Evan Neal, who got in all that hot water for yelling at the fans, still has no interest in blocking at all.
Block somebody.
Now, I wish we could throw an arrow or a circle. That's my bad that we didn't. But he's the guy all the way to the left of your screen. He decided on that play, you know what? I'm just not going to block anybody.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones got sacked 19 times in yesterday's game. He hurt his neck like he did last year. That injury knocked him out for the last 4 weeks of the season. He said it feels exactly how it felt last year. So big problems, of course, for the New York Giants and their guaranteed $82 million man in Daniel Jones. Tyrod Taylor's their backup quarterback. He played the whole second half, essentially, for the Giants yesterday. But Evan Neal, on the heels of getting in a fight with the fan base and then apologizing for it and not playing well last week, you got to come out of the gate and block somebody. He blocked nobody.
Yeah, if I'm the offensive line coach, I'm like, hey, block the guys who have the number 90, 91, 92. Those are the guys we need to block. I know on that play he's trying to take the most dangerous man, but he just messing up the turn protection. Evan Neal, you can't have back-to-back weeks like that. It was just bad football.
No, it was embarrassing. By the way, the Daniel Jones neck injury was 2 seasons ago, and it knocked him out for the last month. And he said it feels the same exact way it felt 2 seasons ago. All right, real quick, another thing I learned, and this is a quick one. The Indianapolis Colts, that's right, the Indianapolis Colts right now are tied for first place with the Jaguars. I know they lost some, so in theory they're in second, but record-wise, they are both 3-2, and they're the only team in the AFC South with 2 wins inside the division. The dysfunctional Colts are sitting right there atop the division. That was just a factual statement I wanted to make. And the last one is San Fran, for all the good things they did last night, clearly decided to get together and watch the 1 o'clock games before their Sunday night game. 1 o'clock yesterday, Detroit Lions, a little razzle-dazzle, the double reverse, the flea flicker, and the touchdown pass for the Detroit Lions. San Fran, same exact play to the same exact guy. San Fran sat
It's
in
a
the hotel.
copycat league.
Can you put that in? Can you
Look
put
at
that
this.
in during the day?
Look at this. The same exact play with the same exact results. Detroit did it about 7 hours before San Fran did it. Someone needs to ask San
put that
Francisco
in our
if they were
playbook.
watching that play in the hotel,
They had to be.
because that is the exact same play, and it worked exactly the same. Touchdown San Francisco, plagiarizing the Detroit Lions playbook.
Yeah, if it works, don't fix it, man. Keep running it, baby. Like, just why not? I'm happy the Niners played at a high level, man, but I feel really bad for Dallas right now. You're probably in a pillow crying yourself to sleep last night. I feel bad for Dak, man. I kind of do.
I don't feel bad
for
You
Dak.
feel bad
I
for
kinda
Dak?
feel bad for Dak.
You wore an interception.
And you're
chain to
wearing
start
a
the show.
chain
I'm a
with
team.
his
I'm a team
face
guy.
on it.
You told us to put it on.
All right, coming up, we got First in Football, and we have arguably the worst coaching decision in the history of organized football, and that question will be answered. Are the undefeated Eagles somehow, some way, flying under the radar? No, they're not. Oh, yeah. I want to see New York beat Philly down. I got to see it with my own two eyes. Hey, real quick, Jacoby, I know you didn't see this because you were at the Belly Saturday. But 5 years ago, Mario Cristobal was coaching Oregon. They played Stanford. He had a chance to win the game, take a knee. Didn't take a knee. They wound up fumbling the ball. Stanford got the ball, went down and beat Oregon. He said, I'll never make that mistake ever again. Saturday, the undefeated Hurricanes of Miami are playing a bad Georgia Tech team. 30 seconds to go. Georgia Tech out of timeouts. Miami simply takes a knee, and they stay undefeated. But Mario
What are you
Cristobal
doing?
said,
Shaka.
I'm going to run the ball. And they fumble, and Georgia Tech falls on it. They're 74 yards away, though, from having a chance to tie or win the game. 2 plays later, Georgia Tech, let's go deep. Well, that's the first play. That gets them inside Miami territory. 1 play to go. 10 seconds on the clock.
God.
No.
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 Oh. They let the receiver get behind everybody.
Somebody
and
could
when they
be
could have taken a knee with 30 seconds left and no timeouts by Georgia Tech, they fumble, their defense caves, and the Hurricanes, while still in the top 25, are no longer undefeated. Mario Cristobal said he would never make the mistake again. He made the mistake again.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, this is how you get questioned for point shaving. Like, this is just bad football, bro. Like, I don't even understand the logic behind it. And then for your defense, you tell they're shell shock because they get like another receiver. That's just a dime right there. But you let a receiver get behind you, just put your feet on the goal line and don't let them get in.
It's not bad football, it's bad coaching.
Yes. Yeah, that should have been easy.
Flex, that was 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If in our time of playing, if they would say, hey, 30 seconds left and we're up and we're running a play, like, we'd be like, all right, something's up.
One other college football note, USC went to triple overtime to beat Arizona, and they fell down in the rankings. They're out of the top 10 now, despite another win, because it was too close a win for them against a bad Arizona team. They were down 17-zip, came all the way back, and won in a great game, triple overtime.
Now we go to First in Football, and we start in New England, where the Patriots were hosting the Saints. They got beat 34-0 at home. They scored 0 points, gave up 34. Mac Jones was eventually taken out of the game, replaced by Bailey Zappi. Craig,
Yeah.
there's going to be changes in New England. What do you expect to change for them to turn this
They're
around?
going to suck for the next decade.
Suck.
And we're all going to enjoy every piece of it. Plaxico Burress is the only guy that I know on a personal level who is not bothered by New England's success.
At all.
Because he had no problem beating New England.
Doesn't bother me at all.
Of course, in the Super Bowl and ended their undefeated season. Look, here's the problem. They're a bad football team. There's not a lot of talent. The little bit of talent they have on defense is banged up and hurt right now. They have a bad quarterback. They have a bad backup quarterback. And yesterday, for the first time that I can remember, maybe it's happened before and I just have no recollection of it, Bill Belichick quit on the 53-man on the sideline and on his franchise. I'll tell you exactly when I realized that Bill Belichick, of all people, was waving the white flag. Third quarter, 9:55 to go. New Orleans is already up 24-0. That's the scenario right there. They're on the Saints' 40-yard line with a 4th and 3. You're already down 24 points, so why wouldn't you go for it? You only have one win this year. Things are not going well for you. At least try to be aggressive and try to get a first down and maybe score a touchdown and give yourself a breathing chance to come back and tie or win the game. 4th and 3, Bill Belichick punted, and in punting, he waved the white flag and he quit on his franchise. So now the only question is, as ugly as this is, and it's going to get uglier because they are not going to win a lot of football games.
It's hard to get ugly.
How does the Belichick era end in New England? Because it's clearly ending. Is it you get fired and embarrassed publicly with a firing? Or does Robert Kraft go to him and say, why don't you announce your retirement so that you can keep some face and not be embarrassed because I got to let you go?
Well, yeah, I think you're 100% right. Bill Belichick can no longer rest on his laurels because it's bad football.
Yeah.
I'm talking about an offense that's only scored 55 points in 5 games. That's not Patriot football. And on top of that, this defense, who we expect to be the lead, the spearhead of this team, is garbage. They're not good. The run game, led by Ramondre Stevenson and Zeke Elliott, not good. They only had 18 attempts for 45 yards. That's bad football. So offensively, defensively, they can't get it done.
Not just that. That's New England off an embarrassing loss last week.
Right.
And most of us thought, because of his credibility and his tenure as a head coach, well, they may not beat New Orleans, but they're going to fight. They're going to show some pride and play a good game. And from Jump Street, I thought I was watching the greatest show on turf with that same offense.
I mean, let's just come out and say that Mac Jones is not the guy.
Bingo.
I mean, let's just be honest and say that it's time for Zappy Hour. Everybody's waiting for it. And I think the most surprising thing to me about any Bill Belichick coach team is that they're going to go out and compete.
Yep.
They're going to be prepared. And for me to turn that TV on and they're down 21-0 to the New Orleans Saints on top of that.
Right.
It's not like we are considered the New Orleans Saints to be one of the top 3 teams in the NFC, and then they lose a game 34-0, and you got to be saying to yourself, you never thought that you would see this from a Bill Belichick coach defense.
You're right.
Because they're always prepared no matter how bad the team is, and it was just
they were not prepared. And look, that's their worst home loss under Bill Belichick, coming off their biggest lopsided defeat a week prior. It's ugly, and it's not going to get any better. And let's all agree, unless you're watching, of course, in the New England area, or you're one of those front-running weasels who jumped on the Patriot wagon because Tom Brady was the coach. Every one of us loves it. That franchise cannot lose enough. It can't be embarrassed enough. It can't be humiliated enough. And I can't wait to watch the press conference when they announce that the great Bill Belichick, who is going to miss the playoffs for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, is going to have a losing record, hasn't developed another quarterback, his defense stinks, and he's not the smartest guy on either sideline. Week after week after week, we're all going to take great joy in his demise and that franchise's demise. They are not winning a playoff game or getting there for a very, very long time, and I like it.
Great. Moving on to second and football, we have the Miami Dolphins and the New York Giants. This one was not very competitive. The Giants could do nothing on offense, and they could not stop the Dolphins either. Plaxico, you're a former Giant. You watched this game. How disappointed were you in this performance from the Giants?
I think we've taken over. I was saying that the Chicago Bears had the worst offensive line in football. That is no longer true. It's the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Basically, like a wet paper towel up front. And I don't know what's going on the left tackle, but people are just running around the tackles. And it just seems, I don't get it. I don't understand. It just seems like to me, every team that we play against, the other defensive line is individually better than every player on our line.
Yeah.
And so it's the right tackles, left guard, right guard, left tackle. And it's just, we go through three left tackles in one game.
Yeah. And
I'm saying to myself, you know what, I read this for the first time yesterday. It doesn't matter who you put back there. Nobody can stand there and throw the football.
No.
Nobody can do it. And I don't think I've ever been in a situation to where I'm looking at this offense and saying, you know what, we can't even move the ball down the football field. And the offensive coordinator doesn't have the opportunity and the chance to call plays based off of down and distance and situations. I've never had an offensive coordinator come to me and say, Plex, we can't run that play because we don't have time.
Yeah, that's the thing. And here's what's interesting. Every 5 yards seemed like it took, every ounce of energy to get for the Giants. And Miami was getting 50-yard plays like it was nothing. They don't have the time to throw the ball deep. They don't have the time really to set anything up. And every time the Giants offense is on the field, it seems like it's hard work.
On top of that, can we put up that stat again?
Yeah,
you
sure.
know why the quarterback neck's hurt? Look at 29 pressures.
He tapped out yesterday.
That's 2 games. That's not the season. That's not the season.
You know why Daniel Jones is walking around with a neck brace? Because of that stats right there. That's bad. And Tua wasn't great yesterday. Tua had 2 interceptions. He had fumbles, and he still put up 500 yards offense. So it's like I'm looking at this Giants offensive line. This is like fire everybody.
And then on top of this, we get 3 forced turnovers on defense.
Yep.
So you get 3 more offensive possessions than the Miami Dolphins. And we can't even score offensive touchdown.
Yeah, and how about this? Think about this for a second. The Giants scored their very first half touchdown yesterday, and it was on an interception that they took 102 yards from their end zone down the other way. That's the first touchdown the Giants have scored in the first half this season, and it came on the longest return in Giants history. They're a bad football team.
I just think we just got to line up and just play football. Because I'm saying to myself that these guys, listen to me. We got guys going in motion. We got guys going in orbit motion, going behind the running back. And the defense is sitting over there looking at the offense like, well, you can motion all you want. We don't respect you as a passing team or as a quarterback. Right. So the defense is just going to sit back and say, you know what? We're just going to rush the quarterback with 4 down defensive linemen and sack your quarterback.
Yeah, look, it's ugly for the New York Giants. And for a second, I thought they might get back in the game, and Darren Waller had an opportunity to catch a touchdown pass that would have made it a very close game. Towards the end of the first half, he didn't catch that ball, and then Miami just ran away with the game. Whether it was Tyreek Hill or how do you pronounce the kid's last name? Achane? Achane or whatever it is. The running back.
And Xavier McKinney take the right angle to the running back. You got when he breaks through the line of scrimmage, you got to get wide. He's the fastest guy in the world on the football field. Why are you running at him? Run that way.
I should mention that Achane was a world record setter in college at A&M, I think it was, in the 100, the 4x100, and the 440, whatever the hell that is.
Did you see the angle this guy took?
I think the world saw it. It wasn't just me.
Yeah, but it's also like, did you not hear that he's fast? Like it's like the number.
Bottom line, hey America, the Dolphins are a fast team.
They're fast.
Yes, they are.
They're fast. Change your angles.
Real quick before we get to a break and get to all your headlines and some other football stories yesterday, I just want to acknowledge that the Detroit Lions did win again, put 41 on the Carolina Panthers, so they go to 4-1. And while everybody's talking about San Francisco and everybody over here is talking about Philadelphia, shh. The Detroit Lions are really, really good, and they are now sitting on top of their division, 4-1. The Cincinnati Bengals kept their season alive yesterday with a big win against the Cardinals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers announced to the world, we may suck, but we're just good enough to steal a W from the Baltimore Ravens.
Really?
Are we concerned about Baltimore? You bet your honey we are. We'll discuss right after this. And if you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, consider your season being saved. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, consider yourselves in first place. Hey! There you go, just over a minute ago. Of course, that's a touchdown that ended it from Pickett to Pickens. But once again, there's the Steelers defense. And to be fair, as good as their defense has been and is, the Baltimore Raven offense had so many chances to blow this game out of the water. In every quarter, 10-point lead early. They get shut out in the second half. 5 drop balls, bad decisions by Lamar Jackson, a refusal to have him run the ball and get out of the pocket. Zay Flowers had his worst game as a pro with drops and unfortunately fell down kind of backpedaling to catch what would have probably been a touchdown pass. Mark Andrews drops a touchdown pass. And overall, the Baltimore Ravens came into the game, the better football team, and walked out of there with their tails between their legs because they lost to a division rival. And those are the games that come back and bite you in the rear end because there's a drop right there by Bateman. Odell Beckham Jr. is a non-factor thus far. Here's a drop by Mark Andrews. And all these opportunities on the Steelers side of the field to get points on the board, and they come up with nothing. Drive after drive after drive. And eventually, Pittsburgh got the one play they needed to salt the game away. But what the hell's wrong with the Baltimore Ravens?
Well, believe it or not, Craig, historically, the Ravens-Steelers rivalry is always clunky wins and losses. They're never going to be pretty.
But they were the better team across the board, and they didn't come out of there with a W.
Right, but I think that's also indicative to Mike Tomlin going into this week, really putting the onus on his defense, like, hey, you're going to have to win this game, because he understands his offense is trying to.
But was it their defense or just the Ravens not making plays?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, there was some missed opportunities by the Ravens, but you got to credit the defense for at least capitalizing on those turnovers and saying, hey, man, we got to make it play. And they did. You saw Alex Highsmith with the strip sack, TJ Watt, gets the fumble. But overall, the Steelers are going to win games sometimes they shouldn't win. The problem is
ugly games.
They're going to win ugly games. The problem is you got to figure out what's going on with Kenny Pickett. He has to be better, and he has to play better, especially when you got Pickens on the outside, who that one dime, that was just one big play that kind of sealed the deal.
Yep.
But you got to get more. I think the highlight of the Steelers offense is Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren, the running back number 30 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is an absolute dog. I know Najee Harris is supposed to be the pride back, but Jalen Harris, they got to get him the ball often and more because he's the factor for that offense.
Yeah, he has shown, like Najee Harris for some reason looks slow this year compared to what we've seen in his career. Yeah. So they did find another guy to run the football. But I'm more concerned, look, you give Pittsburgh credit. You don't apologize for how you win games. Just take the W's, and at the end of the year, we'll figure out where you're at, right? And that's a typical kind of Steeler AFC North game. You're not the better team, but you don't make the same mistakes that they make, and you stay in it. And when you have your last shot to win it, boom, make one play to win the game. Because that's what they did there with the touchdown to Pickens. I'm more concerned from the other side. Baltimore had a chance to solidify itself as the best team in the division and take a significant lead in that division. The Browns, of course, had a bye week, but not knowing what Cincinnati was going to do against Arizona. Here you're playing the Steelers, and you know what they are. And you're better than they are. So I'm trying to figure out, Plax, did they just not take them seriously? Were they not prepared? Was it just a collection of every bad thing happened to every guy all at once? Or is this a problem that Raven fans now have to be concerned with?
Willie knows this. After you lose a game like that and you get up to a 10-0 lead and you find a way not to win the game, the head coach, Harbaugh, is going into that locker room and today, Monday morning, saying that, listen, you know what? We gave that game away.
That's right.
We dropped two touchdowns. We were up 10-0. We got to find a way to finish football games down the stretch. So what that does is it keeps the team confident that it will be able to win games down the stretch. But I said this early in the season. This offense and this team is going to be predicated on how well Lamar Jackson can throw the football. And it doesn't help when guys are dropping passes because he's already not one of the most efficient and accurate passes in the league, but he needs to get out of the pocket more and use his legs and be dynamic and run the football.
Well, let me ask you this. Willie, I'm going to show a video here. I want you to walk me through it.
Yes.
He forces the ball to Odell Beckham Jr. That gets intercepted by Joey Porter Jr. in the end zone, which essentially ends things for Baltimore. Break it down and tell me the mistake here, please.
This is a mistake right here. You got Lamar Jackson in the pocket, right? There goes Mark Andrews. They should flip. Where OBJ is, that's where Mark Andrews should be. And where Mark Andrews is, that's where OBJ is. Why? Because Mark Andrews is 6'7". He's a big-time tight end. He had 2 touchdowns against the Browns in the red zone, and that's a jump ball. You got Joey Porter Jr. I understand he's 6'2", but he's not beating a 6'7" tight end on a jump ball. And that's a bad throw by Lamar Jackson. He admitted he has to throw more to the backside of his shoulder. He throws inside for the interception. But Mark Andrews, I'm sitting right here like, why am I saying I'm getting locked down by Minka Fitzpatrick? I'm pretty much getting bracketed because that safety that's looking at Lamar Jackson, he's really playing for Mark Andrews to kind of cut across his face. So this was a bad play call, bad throw by Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews should have replaced OBJ in that position, especially if you prefer go ahead.
Well, let's go to Lamar Jackson after the game. He acknowledged that pass was on him. Here's Lamar.
I was just trying to get my boy a shot. We just got to, get in sync. That's all. He made a great play. Made a great interception. We didn't want it to happen, but it happened.
Here's the deal.
He got to get in.
It wasn't a great play.
He got to get in.
Yeah, but here's Lamar Jackson. Here's the problem. What he's acknowledging was Odell Beckham has not had a good year yet. He's been hurt. He had the ankle problem, and he's been a non-factor in this offense. Lamar Jackson just told you, I was trying to get OBJ into the game. I forced the throw to Odell because he hasn't done anything this year.
No, that's not the choice you're making that decision. You throw the ball to the guy who's most available. Once you see Joey Porter get a jam on OBJ, you get off of that right now. But with all due respect, OBJ is no longer the dynamic player that he was 5 or 6 years ago, being able to go up and get the football. So what you do, you get off of that and you work the bottom. If you know that Mark Andrews is being bracketed on the bottom, you have the slot guy wide open on the out route going in the end zone. It was just a bad throw, bad choice, bad decision.
And that's a bad loss for the Baltimore Ravens against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's stay in the AFC North because the Cincinnati Bengals were on life support going into a game against the Cardinals. Let's be fair. None of us knew what to expect out of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow kept telling us he was fine, he was fine, he was fine. But he said that throughout the first 4 weeks.
He's back.
That pass right there told you he is fine. He put his foot in the ground, threw a 50-yard dart in rhythm right to Jamar Chase. Then he throws this dot right there into zone coverage, and he threw for like 1,000 yards yesterday. 317 exactly. But there's one play to me that stands out. These are all great plays. He's throwing the ball on a rope. But for a guy with a bad calf, it wasn't a design play. Pocket breaks down. Nobody's open. And your guy, Joe Burrow, took off up the middle of the field, gained about 15, 16 yards, got a first down. This play right here. All right, in his own zone, 1st and 10. But that's not a guy with a bad calf.
That's not.
That's a guy whose calf is just fine. And if I'm a Bengal fan, look, this game was 24-20. Deep into the third quarter before Cincinnati ran away with it. And Jamar Chase had 19 catches and 3 touchdowns. So it was competitive deep into the second half. But if I'm a Bengal fan, that's the Bengal offense I've come to fall in love with the last 3 years. Joe Burrow looked like Joe Burrow.
On top of that, there's another play where I think it's like a 3rd and 8 maybe. He's sitting in the pocket. He feels the pressure from the backside. He does like a little whirly bird, escapes out the right side, and he has Joe Mixon sitting in the middle of the zone, delivers the ball for a completion. I'm saying, to your point, he's back.
He's back.
I mean, because we saw prior leading up to this game, he just didn't have the confidence. You said he labored the leg all the way through the games, and now he's making plays with his legs, and that one dime he threw, that's off the injured calf. He led into that and just fired it. So if that's Joe Burrow, who we're going to see moving forward, man, the Bengals are back.
And that's why, again, the Ravens losing a game like they did to Pittsburgh yesterday brings Cincinnati back into the conversation, not just in the conference, but to win the division.
Man, listen, if Joe Burrow can continue to get better, the Cincinnati Bengals are instantly back in the top one of the teams in the AFC. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, listen, what about Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
If you give me 19 attempts and I catch 15 passes for 190 yards, 100%. You ain't got to worry about me saying nothing ever again. I've never in my life got 18 attempts and caught 15 balls and 3 touchdowns. You talking about a day? That's like 4 weeks worth of attempts. I'm getting 6 or 7. I'm like, yeah, we won. 19, I catch 15 rocks.
But that happens when you're the best friend, when your quarterback's the best friend. That works out.
By the way, afterwards, I think we have it for here. Jamar Chase put out a tweet comparing himself to 7-Eleven because he's always open.
He delivered, man. 3 touchdowns on a big day, and Joe Burrow had a good calf day. I mean,
it does beg the question: if 7-Eleven's always open, why are there locks on the doors? Coming up, the Dallas.
Where it is.
Demographics, Craig.
I like a good calf day. Joe Burrow had a good calf day. I like
fair
that.
enough. Fair enough. Coming up, the Dallas Cowboys embarrassed themselves last night in the game that we all wanted to see. The matchup of 2 of the best teams in the NFC. We learned a valuable lesson. San Francisco is the best team in football, and the Dallas Cowboys are far, far away. But who do you blame the most? Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, or Dak Prescott?
Good morning and welcome back to the Carton Show. We have your headlines. The big game last night was a blowout, and it was bad for the Cowboys and bad for Dak. That's one of his interceptions. Oh, here's another interception. And you know what? Why stop it too? Let's throw another interception.
Everybody gets the pick.
Were absolutely dominated and humbled, and Dak Prescott echoed those sentiments after the game in the press conference.
Didn't see it coming. As you said, put everything into this and got punched in the mouth. Called a couple of weeks ago, humbling against Arizona. But this may be the most humbling game I've ever been a part of. Felt good about the preparation, felt good about everything, honestly, coming into this game, matchups, and they beat us in every aspect.
So, Craig, up to this game, Dak Prescott has only thrown one interception with this Texas Coast offense.
Yeah.
What happened last night? And do you happen to have any more chains for
Yeah, I got plenty of chains for him. I'll give it to him in a second. What happened last night is that all of a sudden they were trailing.
Yeah.
They were losing the game. So this little dink and dunk, you'll get the ball out of his hands in 2 seconds offense. Doesn't work when you're down 2 touchdowns. It certainly doesn't work when you're down 4 touchdowns. So you saw the ugly part of Dak. You saw an offense that's not predicated on him throwing the ball 20-plus yards down the field, and he was forced to throw the ball 20-plus yards down the field, and he's not good at it. That's not even an attempt to complete a pass right there. That's a panic throw. This one I'm not going to put on him. Probably should have been caught by his wide receiver. This one's pathetic. You don't even see the linebacker in coverage underneath, right?
Yeah, he said it. I didn't see this coming.
Right.
We can see it. The safety's over the top, and the linebacker is buzzing under the slant.
Yeah.
If you're an elite quarterback, you don't make these throws. I can see this linebacker buzzing underneath that slant.
Well, he was defeated by that time. That was his last interception.
Come on,
he heard the boo birds. He couldn't even look at Mike McCarthy walking to the sideline.
Yeah, and look, he's not the sole reason they lost. They had no answers for the Brock Purdy-led 49er offense. And this story of last night is as much about San Francisco putting a 40-burger on what was supposed to be a top 5 defense in the NFL. And then the flip side of that, of course, is the Dallas offense had no answers. And what's scary, if you're a Cowboy fan, to answer, I think, your original question is, who are the real Dallas Cowboys? That's why I thought, we talked about all last week, this was the barometer game. You beat the Giants. They're one of the worst teams in football, right? You beat the New York Jets. They were going through nonsense with the offensive line, and you embarrassed them. You beat the New England Patriots, like the Giants, one of the worst football teams, and you lost to the Arizona Cardinals. This was supposed to be the game where Dallas said, we are for real. Even if we lose, if it's a competitive game and we stand toe-to-toe with San Francisco, we're for real. Here's what we learned, though, about the Dallas Cowboys. They're schoolyard bullies. And as soon as somebody punches them in the mouth, they wilt. Period. Stop. The Cardinals weren't afraid of them, and the Cowboys never got back in that game. And Dak throws the bad interception in the end zone, down 12, 3 minutes to go. San Fran rope-a-doped them and gave him everything. And Dallas's response? Well, let's just go to it. Because we have Dak Prescott here. And because he led the league in interceptions last year, we were prepared for it, Plax. So yesterday, he gives you interception number 2. Two. Then he gives you interception number 3. And then, not seeing a linebacker waiting for you to make a bad decision, Dak Prescott does it again. Interception number 4 on the season. 3 picks in the game. And Dak Prescott, again, proves to Cowboy fans against a really good team, playing from behind, he is not the guy to lead a team to a comeback victory.
Well, if we're going to keep putting chains on him for every interception that he throws, somebody's going to have a neck problem by the time the season ends. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, when you go 9-13 with only 3 plays or less, man, it's just bad football for an offense that's supposed to be way more better. I mean, they couldn't do anything yesterday. I talked about it earlier in the show. They were just going east to west. You have to attack this Niners defensive line. They didn't. They just didn't have enough. They looked incompetent, and they couldn't get it done. I felt bad for Dak, man, because at one point you could tell, he just laughed. He was like, this is the worst loss I've ever experienced in my life. But here's the thing, though, Willie.
The Dallas Cowboys are not going to play a team like San Francisco that often. Their issue is going to be when they play the Eagles. And because they're in the same division, they got to play them twice. And the Eagles are better than they are right now. And until Dallas does something about that, Dallas is going to be chasing Philadelphia. So it seems like Dallas right now is the type of team, if you put them up against a bad team, they will do what they're supposed to do. And they'll dominate. They'll blow them out. Micah Parsons is going to look like the best guy, player since Lawrence Taylor. Dak Prescott. Oh, look at this. Dak Prescott under control, not turning the ball over. But as soon as they have a little taste of another team competing and being good or better than them, they wilt. and that's a problem.
Well, can we
you
put
can't
this-
win Super Bowls that way.
Tyler, can we put up the second half stats? I mean, this isn't just wilting. This is a meltdown.
Yeah.
Field goal, interception, punt down.
The plays.
Like that's what are we doing?
Yeah, we're not. That's not good offense.
And I'll take it a step further. Having Trayvon Diggs on that defense and Dan Quinn and him being able to call defenses, knowing that Trayvon Diggs has one side of the field locked down, that's a tremendous, asset for a defense to have, especially when you have the edge rushers of Michael Parsons and Lawrence and all those guys. And for Dak for Dak not to have Schultz, it's really showing. It's hurting them.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else. We all talk about what Dak Prescott didn't do and what the Dallas Cowboys didn't do. At some point, you're going to have to wake up and realize that Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in the NFL. Brock Purdy yesterday, 4 more touchdowns, no interceptions, has got 9 straight games now without an interception. All he does is find the right guy to throw the football to.
All the time.
Every single time he throws the ball, 3 times to Kittle last night. And remember, this is a team that's built on any given Sunday. Mm-hmm. Any one of our star players can be the rock star. It was Deebo Samuel a couple weeks ago. It was Brandon Ayuk a week ago. George Kittle came into this game as the best blocking tight end in football with 1 catch. Yesterday, wide open, 3 catches, 67 yards, 3 touchdowns, and San Francisco wins. And I don't know what we're waiting for. But Brock Purdy right now is the MVP of the league. He's the best quarterback. And think about it this way. We say this a lot in other sports. Well, give me the best player on the best team, and that's your MVP, regardless of sport. Yep. He is the best player on the best team, and they're winning because of it.
Why is Jalen Hurts not an MVP candidate?
Because they're not undefeated.
Yes, they are.
They are undefeated. I apologize.
They had 424
I was way ahead of myself.
424 yards of offense yesterday. 5-0.
I apologize.
21-1.
They're going to be 5-1 after they lose to the Jets.
Okay.
And then we can stop talking about Jalen Hurts. But let me answer, because it's a fair question. He should be in the conversation.
Exactly.
But if we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, and we do, as an MVP candidate, where's all the attention for Brock Purdy?
Oh, it's coming.
They should both be in the conversation.
The Brock Purdy stuff is coming, but I would say that I would put Purdy in front of Hurts right now because the Eagles have not played as well as we know they can, and they don't put in performances like this one. And Brock Purdy diagnoses the defense so quickly, and he is so accurate. And because when you're watching it, like, look at the completion percentage. Like, when he throws the ball, you cannot see the receiver, but when the camera moves, he's always wide open, and he's always in stride, and he always gets.
He never makes the wrong read.
You never see a receiver have to bend and catch a ball behind him or dive for something. Like, it's always perfectly placed. Look, he's on the run. Perfectly in pace. Like, the way that he hits these receivers just gives them touchdowns.
Yeah, now, they've got the Browns and the Vikings coming up, their next 2 games. The Browns are coming off a bye week. They have arguably the best defense in football. So let's see what Brock Purdy does against that defense in Cleveland. So it's a road game, and that game's on Fox as well. That'll be another good test for a young quarterback to once again prove he's the best quarterback in football. And to be fair to Philly, because I'm thinking about it now, you're right, Plax. For everything I say about Brock Purdy, you can say the same about Jalen Hurts. But if we're going to talk about Jalen, and we do, as an MVP candidate, we have to start talking about Brock Purdy in the same conversation.
But you haven't said anything about Jalen Hurts, though.
Because I don't like Philadelphia.
Right, and we played this week.
Now, let's see what that Philly offense does against the New York Jet defense.
And that brings us to our next headline. I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Carton, like a box, but
What?
the Jets played in Denver.
You're damn right they did.
And they beat the Denver Broncos.
That's
It
right.
was this scoop and score that sent the Jets in the win column. What do you feel about your New York Jets right now?
Feel the same way. Well, I got to be careful.
Now pull it back a
I
little
got to
bit.
be careful. It was 6th grade. It's a long story.
Yeah.
Look, the New York Jets saved their season by beating the Denver Broncos. It wasn't pretty. It was an ugly first half. The New York Jets completely mismanaged the final 10 seconds or 15 seconds of the first half, if you want to show it. I thought at this moment, here we go again, typical Jets. Like trailing, a chance to get a field goal on the board before the end of the first half. No timeouts left. We throw the ball to C.J. Uzomah in the field of play with less than 10 seconds to go. And then Zach Wilson steps up to the line. Here's the play, from the Bronco 14-yard line. That's a stupid pass to make. It's a dumb route to run. And while Usama recognizes the clock is ticking, watch my quarterback nonchalantly go up to the line like
Zach.
he's surveying the defense. They wasted an opportunity for points there, and they were down 5. That makes it a 13-11 game going into the locker room. But you saw the Jet defense, albeit against a bad football team, so I got to be honest about it. You'll rear their heads in that second half and dominate the line of scrimmage and really make it very tough for Russell Wilson. The only caveat, the thing that scares me, especially this week against the Eagles, we showed a weakness. We showed an Achilles heel on defense. We are not very good with quarterbacks that can scramble. Russell Wilson had us all day yesterday. Anytime there was an opening, boom, he took off and showed great presence. Jalen Hurts is great at that. So my only concern is Jalen Hurts running the football, because defensively we showed a great weakness.
Well, yeah, because it's my apologies. Well, because it's the rush defense, right? Like a lot of things what the Jets do, they run stunts, which is the ETEs. When we come inside, like there was one time when Quentin kind of held saying, like you can't come back inside. You got to keep that pocket and you got to collapse it. Too many times we get undisciplined with our rush lanes and we allow the quarterback to escape. That can't happen against Jalen Hurts. But also for the flip side, for the Jets, they had 6 straight losses on the road. This was a big win on the road for the New York Jets, despite how bad this Broncos team was. Okay. And it hurt their season because now they're back in the playoff hopes. So this is a big win.
I just think Jalen Hurts is just well-rounded. He's gonna make plays with his feet, and obviously he has A.J. Brown and D. Smith. So he's not going to make a lot of mistakes on his defense. The matchup that I want to see is his secondary against those 2 wide receivers.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about DJ Reed. He had a concussion, obviously. That's why he's out.
Hopefully he's back.
And it's hard to come back just 1 week later. So
Bryce Hall played well.
We'll find out about him later on. And there's a secret weapon the Jets have. There's only 2 of them for my money because they don't get a lot of attention. Bryce Huff needs to be on the field all the time. That dude gets to the quarterback as well as any lineman in all football. And then we always talk about Quinnen Williams, who got the $96 million deal and is one of the best defensive tackles in the sport. His brother, Quincy Williams, has become a great linebacker right now for this Jets defense. So, look, we're not the better team on Sunday coming up, but the fact that we beat Denver, our quarterback played better again, over 70% completion percentage in the last 2 weeks, you at least have the confidence that we have figured out how to play competent football. Now's a true test going up against one of the elite teams in the NFC. And here's the other thing I love. I love when you keep receipts and you can pay them off. Well, Sean Payton talked a lot of smack this summer about how bad a coaching job Nathaniel Hackett did in Denver. He, matter of fact, called it the worst coaching job in the history of football. Well, that offensive coordinator had you on your toes. You didn't know which way the Jets were going to go in that second half. And afterwards, every Jet player wanted Sean Payton to know, you're a clown, kid. That's the first one. That comes from the Jets themselves, all right, who obviously had rallied the troops on behalf of Nathaniel Hackett. And then comes Saucy Gardner. Sauce Gardner put it out there yesterday. Jets country, let's ride.
That's right.
Which, of course, is mocking Denver and, that whole
Russell
thing.
Wilson.
But for the second year in a row, the Jets go to Denver, beat the Denver Broncos. And might I say this, now that the pitch count is over, now that the training wheels are off, you can start having the conversation about Breece Hall being one of the top running backs in the entire sport.
I agree with that.
And Breece Hall, his ability to run, and the Jets' offensive line being much better at run blocking than pass blocking gives the Jets a chance to stay in a lot of games when they might be outmanned. Their running attack is very good.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to the offensive line. When they play together, now we have to see what's the health of Elijah Vera Tucker. He's dealing with a calf. But overall, they can run the ball. And it helps Zach Wilson. You pointed that out. It helps a young Zach Wilson not to be a decision maker for all 4 quarters. If you're able to lead on Breece Hall, it just opens up. But they got to get more weapons going, man.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson had 2 key throws in this game. A third down conversion of Tyler Conklin, who then carried 7 different Broncos about another 15 yards. And a great pass rolling to his right, throwing left for a first down to Garrett Wilson, who only had 3 catches. That's a huge win for the Jets. They need it, they got it, and now we get back down to serious business, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, a team they've never beaten, ever. And because of it, I'm going to the game, and I'm bringing my good luck charm. That's right.
What's that?
We're having a pig spanking in the parking lot of MetLife Stadium. I got a 40-pound pig just waiting. I'm bringing it on the spit, and we're spanking that pig to bring the Jets good luck.
You serious, too?
Yeah, 100%.
You're bringing a real pig.
I do it every year. Yeah, I pick one game a year. I guarantee the W. It's going to be this Sunday.
Why not
What time you getting there?
I'll be there at noon. Okay. 4 o'clock game. You want to come?
No.
All right. We do have more football to wrap up Week 5, and that is tonight's game. And it seems like the Green Bay Packers haven't played a game in about a month. Green Bay Packers against the Vegas Raiders, and the game is in Vegas, and the Raiders are favored by 1.5 points. If you're going to wager on this game, don't do it because you lost yesterday. Live to fight another day. Gambling should be responsible and recreational. Jacoby, I will start with you. Raiders, Packers tonight. Who do you like?
Sometimes when you pick a game, you pick who you like. This is who I don't like. I'm picking against the Raiders. Oh, the Raiders are playing? I'm going to bet against them.
Okay.
I'm not picking for the Packers, picking against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, okay. Let me go to you, Plax.
Hey, something tells me that the NFL put this game on the schedule because they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be the quarterback at the Raiders.
Okay.
So that's why they put this game on the schedule. But you know what? I'm going with the Raiders. Max Crosby and his defense. That's what I'm going with.
An unhappy Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs chirping a little bit, and the threat, if this thing goes south any quicker, that they may start selling a bunch of dudes. Who do you like here, Biggs?
Yeah, I'm going with the Packers. The Raiders are done. Everybody in that locker room was pissed off. They'd rather be on a sandals vacation. Bottom line, if you're talking about the Packers, Jordan Love is coming into his own. Now, they got to play a little better defense. I get that. But that run attack with Jordan Love, they're starting to – he just has to play a complete game of football, but he's playing well right now.
Be careful. A lot of people out there saying, Packers with points? That seems easy. If I was of that ilk, and I'm not, I might lean towards my dear friend Plaxico here because it makes absolutely no sense at all for the Raiders to ever be favored. And here they are, favored at home by 1.5 points.
Baby, it's Vegas.
Week 5 comes to a wrap tonight. And then, of course, we look forward to all the big games next weekend. We'll break down more of what happened yesterday for you throughout this week. Good seeing Willie Colon. That's Plaxico Burress. That's David Jacoby. And remember this. While Dak Prescott is once again going to lead the league in interceptions, because that's what he does, there's a new sheriff in town. And that sheriff happens to wear jet green. And this weekend, it's a battle of the greens, and the Jets will take care of business against the Eagles on Sunday.